RicoKnows on TikTok, RicoKnows on YouTube, RicoKnows on the go, RicoKnows get it too, RicoKnows gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, RicoKnows, 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 and I'm up, RicoKnows, run it up. RicoKnows, double up, RicoKnows, and it's stuck, RicoKnows, gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, RicoKnows, 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 and I'm up, RicoKnows, run it up, RicoKnows, double up, RicoKnows, and it's stuck, RicoKnows, gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, RicoKnows, 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 and I'm up, RicoKnows, run it up, RicoKnows, double up, RicoKnows, and it's stuck, RicoKnows, gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, RicoKnows, 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 RicoKnows.
Hey, what up, YouTube? RicoKnows here. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to TikTok if you're watching the show. Move over to YouTube. You'll be straight. We'll talk all the sports you want. Remember, today's show is the Big 10. Today is the Big 10 and the MAC. Full disclosure, we do have other stuff going on tonight, so the show might not go as long as usual. That's okay. We do have UFC fights at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching Dana White Contender Series, doing all those great things. I'm still going to answer every single question, get to every single comment. So if you're here watching, you put it in the chat. I will get to you. I'll give you a shout out. I'll answer your question. Remember, keep it specific to the Big 10 and the MAC. If you have questions about other teams and other days and all that, show up another day. We got you. But right now, we're going to talk about the Big 10 and the MAC. Just a reminder, go to YouTube. You're here now, but go to YouTube, search RicoKnows. You can become an MVP. I want to give a big shout out to Rusty. Rusty Scopano just became an MVP on YouTube about 5 seconds ago, whatever it was. I appreciate you. We don't get a lot of MVPs on YouTube. We'll take it. We usually get our MVPs on Patreon, but YouTube, it's all the same. Just make sure you connect to the Discord. If you go to Discord, download Discord, make sure you get your account. You're going to go down here to user settings. You're going to click on this. You're going to go to connections, and then you're going to connect your YouTube account, now that you're an MVP, to the server. Once you do that, you're golden, bro. You want to know how to get to the server, there's a link in the details of this video that'll get you to this server. Then you can interact with all the MVPs. These guys are in here throwing out parlay ideas, prop ideas. They're sharing depth charts. They're talking about injuries. They're doing everything they can. I don't know how many people it is, 2,000 or 3,000 people on the Discord sharing information, talking every day, doing what they do. You got to be an MVP to get to those channels. By the way, on the stage tonight, we will be here. I'll be doing a live stream for the Dana White Contender Series, letting you know about the 10 fighters. If you aren't familiar with Dana White Contender Series, let me explain it to you. It's a job interview. It's 10 dudes showing up to scrap on a Tuesday night. And if you win and you impress Dana White enough, you get a contract to the UFC. If you're boring as hell, you don't get your contract. So it's 5 guys scrapping to make it into the UFC, trying to get drafted, if you will, stuff like that. And they go out there and they fight their best. This was Dana White Contender Series Week 2. We're on Week 3 this week. We don't really want to make a lot of money during those fights because they're very volatile. The odds are weird, things like that. We just want to learn about the fighters because if they do get a contract, we'll see them on a fight card in the future and we'll know who they are and what they're doing. So that's why we watch Dana White Contender Series. By the way, if you haven't watched the UFC fight with me before, that's worth the price of admission. You got to understand. That's why you want to be an MVP. Please watch a fight with me. Give me half a chance. I am a better commentator, play-by-play announcer, all that shit. I'm better than anybody at the UFC. I'm better than anybody on ESPN. I know fighting. I've been fighting my whole life. I'm a 20-year combat veteran where I taught hand-to-hand combat in the military and I was an all-army fighter. Shout out to me, okay? But more importantly, I just know what's going on. I know what's going on in the cage, and I can anticipate moves. I can tell you when to do a live bet, who's getting knocked out before it happens, who's going to sub, why it's happening, and guys make a ton of money when they watch fights with me. I ain't got to lie to kick it. Talk to an MVP in the chat. They'll let you know. But that's what these guys are doing here. These are the 10 fighters that are coming out to show you a good time. And in these fights, this plus 650 right here, these guys win all the time. Plus 400, they win all the time. So there is money to be made on underdogs, plus 425. Even if they only got a puncher's chance, it's pretty neat to watch it, have a good time. We don't throw a ton of money. This is fractions of a unit, not full units. We don't even know these dudes from Adam, bro. I'm just letting you know. It's just a good time to watch some regional fights. And we probably have about 50 people in there most nights. It's a pretty good time. So shout out to them. Now let's get on topic here with the show. Remember, I have a Twitter account. You need to follow Twitter. It's where I post all my stuff. I don't post on TikTok. I don't post on YouTube. They just don't pay me enough. I don't worry about it. Twitter, I'll post instant reactions to things. Obviously, we have 7,500 followers on Twitter. Pretty normal. It's the last platform I started working on. Got on it late. TikTok is 180,000. YouTube's 20-something thousand. And then this one's 7. This one matters more to me than all the others, except for, obviously, Patreon. But in here, you're going to see me give a big shout-out to Sean Dolick. And I want to talk to you guys about this because we're talking about the MAC. And Sean Dolick, last year, led the country in tackles. He led the country in tackles. He had 6 sacks. He had more interceptions than Travis Hunter. And he didn't get an invite to the combine. He didn't get drafted. And he still made it on a 53. And that's because you cannot ignore great football players. And Sean Dolick is a great football player. The fact that he made it and a young man from Arkansas didn't make it is crazy. Or Ole Miss. They say he's from Ole Miss, but it's Arkansas really. So you just got to understand certain things, man. Like, for me, we're talking about the MAC today. I'm going to give him so much shine. And I actually want you guys to see what my assessment was of Sean Dolick before the NFL draft. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to show you guys this clip. And this is me talking, and you can see all these episodes. It's RicoKnows 2025 NFL Draft Linebacker Rankings. I did all of these. They're on the live tab. If you go to YouTube like this, instead of going to videos right here, you go to that live tab, you can see all my different live episodes that I've done. This show we're doing right now is on that live tab. Live tab has a bunch of stuff, but if you go in there and you go and watch the linebacker video on the live tab, listen to what I had to say about Sean Dolick before the NFL draft. And then my deep hitting gems, and then I'll go there. A little redundant on my favorites and deep hitting gems. My favorites, number 1 linebacker on my favorites, Sean Dolick. What up, Sean? Pulling him up here. Sean, number 52 on tape. Sean is 6'1", 225. If you don't know Sean Dolick, back in 2022, he led the entire MAC in tackles with 148 tackles. He was everywhere, okay? He was everywhere, and you thought it couldn't get any better. He did this. He played amazing. Now, in 2023, a kid named Joel Anderson transferred in from Bryant, if I remember correctly. He was leading the nation in solo tackles from in the FCS. He transfers in. Sean Dolick gets injured, and Joel Anderson is the only guy that was doing the thing on the tape. Don't ask me why I know everything about Buffalo football. Just leave me alone, okay? I know every team in America. I care. Now, I remember talking about this at length with the MVPs because there's some other defenders on this team that I really like in the secondary, right? 2 guys. One transferred to Syracuse, and one's still there at Buffalo, and then I think he's in the draft this year. But nonetheless, Sean Dolick comes back. He hit the transfer portal, went to, I think, Utah State, and then he spent like a semester there, or theoretically verbally committed to them for a semester. Then he comes back to Buffalo to lead the defense. You guys see it here. It's the first unanimous All-American in the history of the Buffalo Bulls. Yes, they had Khalil Mack. This guy is the first All-American to be unanimous. Dude had more interceptions than Travis Hunter. Okay? This man had everything. 168 tackles, 6 sacks, does everything right on the field, plays out of his mind, and he doesn't get a combine invite. This is absurd. He dominated his pro day. Dominated that joint. You know that when he was in high school, I went to go look for this. In high school, he rushed for 1,997 yards as a running back. This is a fucking football player, bro. This is a football player. That's all there is to it. He's amazing. Dominated his pro day. If he doesn't get drafted, the NFL is ridiculous. He will make a 53. He will make it in the NFL. That is a football player. The only problem is he's 24 years old as a rookie. I don't care, man. Sean Dolick, I'm watching him on Saturdays be the best player on every field. This is a former walk-on. It's frustrating. I'm sorry, I'm under the weather, but come on, man. You ain't got to overthink this. My next favorite linebacker. And just so you guys know, my next favorite linebacker was Nick Jackson. That's a whole other story. He just got cut by the Buccaneers. It's an unfortunate thing. You know, a lot of these guys, when they finally make it on a 53, I get really excited because I predicted it. P.J. Jules just made it from Southern Illinois. He just announced he made it the final 53. Shout out to P.J. Jules. If you're not aware, that was one of my top safeties, my number 3 favorite safety, and he didn't make it last year. He made it this year. It took 2 years for me to get that prediction right. But there's some days when you're evaluating talent and you're watching tape, you come across an NFL football player, and you can see it. It's a Sunday guy. He has Sunday traits, Sunday habits. And then there's other guys that don't look that part on tape, and the NFL scouts, GMs, whoever, they try the talking heads on TV. They try to convince you that that player is an NFL caliber player, and there's nothing that you can say to me to make me think this is not an NFL player versus who is an NFL player. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't allow their assessments to influence me. I feel I am a better analyst of talent than they are. I think I am. I think I'm a better judge of talent than any of those guys. And a lot of you guys might be sitting there watching me right now, and you're like, Rico, how can you say you think you're better than NFL scouts? Bro, the term NFL scout gets applied holistically for your entire life. Like, you just immediately say NFL scout, and then that means these individuals have this much credibility at their job. But in the harsh reality of life, you're not even talking about the same guy. Like, whoever's making the draft picks for the Rams right now, they weren't picking in 2016. They weren't picking in 2012 or 2004. It's different people. Every year, scouts get fired. GMs get fired. Head coaches get fired. These people aren't the best at their job. It's just at that moment, they have that job. They're not the best in the world at it. And they get fired. People need to understand that. So if you hear me say, oh, these guys don't know how to draft players, go do the research and find out it's a GM in his first NFL draft and he's getting fleeced by the other teams. I'll give you a prime example, Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars are cutting draft picks within the last 3 years right now. And when you watch them and you watch the way they're drafting and draft position stuff and what they're giving up to move in the draft, you go, wait, what the fuck are they doing? And then you go find out it's a guy who just became a GM. It's his first year. And he's making moves like a first-year GM. You know, they used to tell me, if you're sitting at the poker table, somebody at that table is a fish. Somebody at that table is a donkey. Somebody at that table is giving away money. And if you can't find the guy, it's you. So when I watch NFL scouts make decisions that I don't agree with, I don't assume they know more than me. I don't assume I'm wrong. Hell no. I've been doing this a hell of a lot longer than them, and I'm going to be here way after them. These guys will all get fired, be unemployed. They'll be on Twitter, and it'll say former New York Jets scout. I see it all the time. Former New York Jets scout. Well, you know why you're not there anymore? Because you told them to draft the Brickajaw Ferguson. Because you told them some tackle deserved to go 4th overall or 7th overall this year. It's embarrassing. And everybody else out there just walks around, all these lemmings, walk around, get all their sports info from ESPN and On3, and they just go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about? Sean Dolick didn't make the team? Undrafted? Rico, you don't know. Your number 1 linebacker didn't get drafted. Beanie Bishop just got released this week. Last year, Beanie Bishop was my favorite corner that was undrafted. And he made a final 53. When I evaluate players to make it in the NFL, what I'm really doing is comparing them to current NFL players that are on NFL rosters. And I go, yo, that guy's better than that guy. That guy's good enough to make it here. That guy's there. This is how I know Shiloh Sanders is going to get cut. He's not better than J.J. Roberts. How do I know this? Well, if you pull up my rankings, J.J. Roberts is in my top 5 favorite safeties. It means I evaluated everybody's tape, and J.J. Roberts was the guy. Now, he got injured. I can't help injuries. I can't predict injuries. I just evaluate talent. What do I see on the field? So shout out to P.J. Jules for making a 53. Love it. And obviously Sean Dolick saw it coming. And anybody who didn't draft Sean Dolick, to include the Rams, you're all idiots. That's a hell of a football player. And we're going to talk about some amazing football players today. Let's get the show started. Remember, I'm going to go over all the Big Ten matchups. I'm going to talk about every single team, every single matchup here. I won't be giving you picks against the spread. I won't be giving you MVP locks. I won't be doing any of that stuff. If you want to become an MVP, download Patreon like everybody else. Go to the App Store, download Patreon, and then search for RicoKnows. You'll become an MVP. Another way to do it, go to the website. Go to patreon.com website, search RicoKnows, you'll become an MVP. You'll see some people here on YouTube, they'll hit join like Rusty did, and they'll do it on YouTube. You can do it on YouTube. I'm not saying you can't. I just want you to know. YouTube doesn't allow me to post charts at certain pixel sizes, so you won't get all the information. If you do it on YouTube, what you'll have to do is go to the Discord server and connect. Now, you'll have both. You'll have access. When you become an MVP, you get access to the Discord server. I don't charge anything on the Discord server. You just have to have access on one of those other two websites. I don't manage it personally. I pay those websites to manage it for me, whether it be YouTube or Patreon. So you go and get the keys, and then the door, the house is Discord. But you can get the keys over here. You can see all the videos. You can do all your stuff on YouTube. It's there if you want to be an MVP that way. I just want you to be aware. All right, let's talk about these games for a second here, though. So first time, Thursday, we got 4 games. We have Ohio at Rutgers. Ohio at Rutgers at 6 p.m. Rutgers is a two touchdown favorite. Rutgers looks like a team that's ready to win some games this year. They went out and spent some money. They kept some people on the roster that really mattered. They did lose their middle linebacker to Miami, but other than that, this team looks pretty beast. I want you to know Rutgers has a good running back, a young running back, stud, bigger guy. They have a dominant offensive line. Every time I talk about Rutgers, I say the same thing over and over and over. Their offensive line is all seniors. They've been around forever. They're all starters. They're all returning starters, that whole deal. They're just extremely experienced, and they remind me of my 12-year staff sergeant. If you don't know what that means, I'm a retired first sergeant for the United States Army. When you have subordinate leaders in the military, you can become a staff sergeant in 4 years, and that means you're fast-tracking. You're probably going to be amazing. So I remember I was a 4-year staff sergeant, and you become a platoon sergeant, you're just a young kid, bro. You're 22 years old, 26 years old, and you're in charge of shit. It's crazy. All because you're a stud. All because you've been the best you've ever been among your peers. But if you're a staff sergeant for too long, now you'll never make sergeant first class. And you can retire as staff sergeant. If you ever see a staff sergeant in 4 years, that's a high-speed hell of a soldier. If you see a staff sergeant after 12 years, that is a terrible soldier and probably not a dependable guy. Probably got a couple DUIs. Probably hit his kids or wife. Probably did some terrible decisions. But he's a veteran. He's crafty. He's been around forever. You can rely on him to do some tasks because he's a guy with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth before a PT test. He just makes poor decisions. He's a drinker at night. That's your 12-year staff sergeant. I'm letting you know. I'm bringing that up because Rutgers has these linemen. They're not necessarily E7s, E8s. They're not necessarily master sergeant material or sergeant first class material. They're not ready for that NFL draft pick material type stuff. But there's some badass dudes who've been around. They've been to war. They've been to war, bro. They seen the dirt. They heard the bullets flying by their ear. They're ready, man. And that's what I feel like. They are battle tested. They've been playing in the Big Ten for a long time, and they look the part. And I really like that for Rutgers. I do. I think offensive line travels. They're at home for this game. But I think it's important you guys understand. Let me do this. Ohio football depth chart. I'm going to pull that up for you guys just for a second here. Bobcats. I like to have a depth chart up when I'm talking about a certain team for a second because I want to touch on something. But anyways, with Rutgers, they look the part. Their offensive line, they can do anything all season long. Now, they play in the Big Ten. Big Ten's very steep for Rutgers. But they're playing a MAC team. And this MAC team, Ohio, people are going to tell you they won the MAC last year. They won the MAC last year. They're great. You can see them here, all this stuff. They get back Sabangora in the transfer portal. Sabangora used to rush for 900 to 1,000 yards on this team for 2 years. Then he transferred to Minnesota, sat the bench. Now he's coming back. Sabangora in the MAC is a problem. He's a battering ram. I want to say he's from DeMatha Catholic. He's from the DMV area. It might be DeMatha Catholic. Yep, DeMatha Catholic High School. Known about Sabangora for a long time, but you can see it here. He went to Minnesota, 4 carries, 12 yards. Not quite power 4 material, but definitely going to be a weapon for Ohio. And they have one of the best quarterbacks in the group of 5. You can pick a better quarterback if you want, but it's all semantics. It's all subjective. Parker Navarro's the bee's knees. He's a really good quarterback. He's a dual threat kid, transferred in from UCF. Parker Navarro will beat you with his legs. He's really nice. Go back and watch some of the games from last year. They got a little white dude here, Chase Hendricks, pretty solid. What they don't have, and the biggest concern that Ohio's going to have, is they don't have Tim Albin anymore. Their head coach, he left for Charlotte, and now they got Brian Smith. If memory serves me, Brian Smith is the offensive line coach at Army last year. So Army loses their offensive line coach. This is his opportunity to be a head coach. We don't know how that's going to translate. I'd imagine that means we want to run the rock and smash you in the mouth and do all these great things. But Ohio did lose a number of players to the transfer portal. When Albin left, he took everybody, and they lost all the continuity in the staff. So there's those issues there. But some people probably really believe in Ohio this year. I'm probably not one of them, if I'm being honest. Next game is Lafayette at Bowling Green. For me, when I look at this, I'm doing the MAC first. That's what we're doing, y'all. I'm going to do Big 10 next. So the next game is, actually, I don't have to do that. I can do this. We'll do this instead. We'll do the Big 10 first. Sorry about that. Still the same first matchup. We'll just skip the other one. So the next matchup is Minnesota and Buffalo. Love Buffalo to death. Shout out to Sean Dolick, like I said. They do have another linebacker, Red Murdoch. He's still back. This was the second leading tackler in the nation last year. Buffalo has a really good team for the MAC. A really good team for the MAC. They're facing a Minnesota team that has some daunting numbers in the trenches. And what I mean by daunting numbers, like returning starters with an immense amount of production, all conference caliber players, things like that. Now, Minnesota lost one young stud to the transfer portal. He left to Ohio State. He's not even starting at Ohio State. Good job leaving. But he might start next year, hopefully. But nonetheless, Minnesota, you know the deal. I believe in Minnesota because of their running back room. I value it to be probably, it's 1A, 1B. It's one of the very best running back rooms in America. Darius Taylor is the star running back for Minnesota, but you need to understand, as good as Darius Taylor is, he's never rushed for 1,000 yards in his career. So, or in a season, I should say. There's been injury issues with him. He's not an every down guy. You want him to be because of the way he's built, and you think he's a beast. But please understand that he's only as good as he's healthy, and they're going to probably pace him. So they hit the transfer portal, and they go out and get A.J. Turner. Now, if you've never seen A.J. Turner, I want you to think of dynamite. I want you to think of a scat back that can beat everybody with speed. He's amazing. A.J. Turner is probably averaging 7 yards a carry while at Marshall last year. A.J. Turner's the nicest. Let me pull him up. You know, everybody always keeps saying, the Marshall players transferred to South Carolina or Southern Mississippi. No. 8 yards a carry. I sold him short, bro. 8 yards a carry last year. This is an explosive player. Reminds me a lot of Eli over there at USC. The little running back who just transferred in from New Mexico. And he was at Iowa State before that. Yeah, similar guys. Small, but he's not that small. He's 6 feet, 195. But still small guys who aren't used as battering rams. Just pure speed. Going to beat you. So Minnesota has this. But what really is going to carry Minnesota this season is this defensive line. These are great players. You've got Maverick at linebacker. Maverick is an all-conference linebacker. He's just as good as any other linebacker out there. Maverick, now they don't draft linebackers very high in the NFL draft. But that guy right there will be one of my favorite linebackers going into the draft. He'll be one of my deep hitting. Well, he won't be a deep hitting gen because I leave that for FCS players. But he'll definitely be Rico's favorite linebackers. Maverick will be on my list. I like him a lot. And when you see guys like Coy Parrish, if you guys don't know Coy Parrish, starting in the secondary last year as a true freshman, former 4-star, dude's amazing. He's right up there with Dylan Thieneman as one of those great white safeties that can get it done. They got some players, man. They got some really good players. It's just, are they going to get it done with PJ Fleck? Is he going to get it? Are they going to get over the hill? I don't think so. I wouldn't go there, that they're getting everything done over the hill or anything. But they are not a team that's going to struggle with Buffalo. Buffalo's good. I like Buffalo a lot. I don't think Minnesota's going to struggle with them at all. No. I've seen MAC players transfer to Minnesota and not even get to play. Say Bangora, for example. The year before that, who was that running back from Western Michigan? He transferred in 2 years ago, and he absolutely did nothing. I'm forgetting his name, and I don't like forgetting names, so give me a second here. I'm going to pull it up. It was 2 years ago, 2023. The little guy. Sean Tyler. This is what happens when you go to Minnesota. Minnesota, even then, where's Crooms. Corey Crooms, 28 receptions. Corey Crooms. This is the best players at Western Michigan one year. They all transferred in to Minnesota and couldn't get on the field. They even had a linebacker. It wasn't Cody. It was Matt Kingsbury. Nope. It was somebody else. I mean, it was bad. It was bad, guys. So you can't be transferring in. And I want you to see something about Sean Tyler. This is a guy that was rushing for 1,100 yards, 1,000 yards in the MAC. And then you get to Minnesota, you can't get on the field. There's a talent gap there between Minnesota and the MAC, and it's real. It's PJ Fleck. He has the advantage of the Big Ten money, and they go out and get better players. So there's going to be a gap here. Shout out to Buffalo. I hope they play well, but it is what it is. Next game is a complete coin flip. Nebraska and Cincinnati. I'm going to talk about Cincinnati on the Big 12 day, so today I'll be talking about Nebraska. Shout out to Nebraska. They have visions of being pretty good. I think they are. I think they're right there with like USC in the Big Ten this year. Nebraska is going to be all dependent on how their quarterback develops in his sophomore year, right? Mr. Mini Mahomes. But what I want to point out here is they got receivers, real ones, big ones, great big players, like really good players. Dane Key, Neziah Hunter, these guys are legitimately great. You got to believe in them. And Cortez Mills, looks the part on tape. So I really like what they have here. It's just you go out and get a Notre Dame transfer and Rocco Splendor, who's pretty decent. They have big size guys, big recruits, all this stuff. It's going to come down to, do you have a real running back room? Because you don't. I understand. If you talk to a Nebraska fan, they're going to tell you they do. Emmett Johnson's him, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, nah. I watched the tape, and he's a big guy, and I'm just like, Defensively, they lost some pieces. Sucks. James Williams departs, goes over to Florida State, and he's going to be starting there. So you don't want to ever lose a player that can start at another major program. It's like that. But defensively, I like a couple things you can see here. Williams coming in from Missouri, former 5-star player, and he's just a backup. He's not going to be in the starting lineup. People need to understand that. But one player that's going to be in the starting lineup is Marquez Watson-Trent. Marquez Watson-Trent, former middle linebacker at Georgia Southern, led them in tackles, was the Sun Belt Defense Player of the Year, if I remember correctly. He's just a stud, man. And it's his final year, coming over here to do great things. Really like him a lot. Wright's their best secondary player, at least in my assessment. This is a good team. And I think they're going to beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati, though, I'll go more in depth on Cincinnati when it's the Big 12 day, but they're not scrubs. Brendan Sorsby's a beast. He's going to run around and do some things. Corleone's still there at defensive tackle. It's going to be great. And they got Royer at tight end. And I think Sorsby can find some weapons. They did lose one of their leading receivers to go sit the bench in Miami. Just silly. But since he's fine. What I think Nebraska has in this game is they have a better coaching staff. Nobody thinks the world of Satterfield. It's the reality of the situation. He's not very likable. And it is what it is. But shout out to Cincy. I think they have a decent team. I think they're going to surprise some people. They're not surprising Nebraska, theoretically. Miami of Ohio, they're going to do the best they can with what they have. They're playing Wisconsin. It's another one of those things where there's a gap between the MAC and the Big Ten. But Miami of Ohio, obviously, co-champs in the MAC, I believe. And you're looking at a job. If Coach Martin can get something out of these guys, Chuck Martin, head coach, if he can get something out of these guys, I'll be thoroughly impressed. The one thing they have is DeQuan Finn. Now, DeQuan Finn, former Toledo quarterback, was all conference, one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, transfers to Baylor, and I immediately told him, hey, that guy can't play at Baylor. You guys remember this. I put it in a video. You go to the live tab, watch the quarterback transfers videos from last year, and I started telling everybody, this guy can't play at Baylor. And I was right. He was already benched after like the first 2 games. He never got back in again. But being back in the MAC, please understand how fast he is. Please, and then listen to me again, how fast he is. That guy, look for his rushing yards, his over, try to find a 20-yarder in case he gets sacked too much. But that dude can break and do amazing things. Trust me. DeQuan Finn is going to be great in conference play. But not right now, not right here. It is what it is. It's just not quite the way it needs to be. All in all, this team is a bunch of overachievers, okay? Overachievers. They don't evaluate well. They don't wow you on tape. Then they go on Saturday and they win games. Collectively, as a unit, as a team. And that's a huge credit to Chuck Martin and what they're doing and what they're building. There is a wide receiver not listed here. Where is it? Cole Weaver. This is the wide receiver. He is listed here. Cole Weaver is a Georgia kid. I want to say he's a Georgia kid. Cole Weaver's 6'5", guys. Is he from Georgia? Trinity Christian. Yeah, Blessed Trinity Christian. Great school here in Georgia, private school, bunch of studs. But this kid is 6'5", Cole Weaver, 225. He looks like a basketball player playing receiver. He can beat everybody. He can beat you over the top. I like that kid, and he's not even starting. And I still like him. So I'm letting you know. I've paid a lot of attention to these teams down here. I've got a lot of notes on them. I talked to the MVPs about it in depth. I'm just letting you know that I like Miami of Ohio. For the most part, I do. But I don't see how they're competitive in the MAC unless Chuck Martin works a miracle. So them being competitive with Wisconsin is a little crazy. Wisconsin, I'm not too encouraged with what Wisconsin's doing, but I want to explain some things to you guys. Wisconsin, if you're paying attention, the depth chart's wrong. Jackson Aker moves to tight end. Now, their star tight end is actually injured right now, so they got Lance Mason here. They just released the depth chart the other day, and if you guys don't know where I'm referencing all this, we go to the Discord server. MVPs in here, if we go to general chat, they've been posting depth charts all day, and we've just been going through them, and you'll be shocked. You're looking at it, you're like, oh, Oklahoma. Jaden is not the starting running back. He's dealing with an injury, so he's third-string running back. But there's this freshman named Torrey Blaylock who looks amazing, that kind of stuff. So we're looking at all these depth charts. You got the Badgers depth chart here, and we can see, if we pull up the Badgers depth chart that just got released, we can go in here, and we can see Jackson Aker or Lance Mason. Or, you got that or thing going on. You don't want to see too many ors in the starting lineup. I want you guys to be aware of this. When you see ors, that means there's not a definitive winner in that position group. There's going to be a lot of continuity issues at that point. People are going to get pulled out. They're still trying to figure out who's in the starting lineup. And that happens with new coaches. And Wisconsin's looking at a new offensive coordinator. They don't quite know what their identity is going to be. So then you got to move Jackson Aker due to injury over to tight end. Jackson Aker was the starting running back. He was the starting running back at Wisconsin last year. And now he's a tight end. And that's awesome news for everybody out there, because last year in the preseason, I told you guys there were two freshman running backs that I don't care if Jackson Aker's here. I don't care if Cade Yakimelli's here. Cade was here as well. They were the two running backs with another guy. I was like, I don't care about any of this. There are two freshman running backs that I evaluated on tape, and they belong in the starting lineup. Now, it didn't happen. I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. But they obviously didn't redshirt. Dylan Jones redshirted. Darren Dupree didn't. And the two of these guys are now, they're both from the same recruiting class. And now Dylan Jones is the starting running back. Let me tell you, these running backs are special. Special. Two of the best running backs I evaluated in the recruiting class last year. So 2024 running backs, I went through the whole list. I found my guys, and you guys can remember this. I talked about this. The three running backs I was most impressed with was a 3-star running back who's currently at Texas Tech and the starting running back at Texas Tech as a 3-star, true sophomore. And then these two guys. Those were my big three running backs that nobody's talking about. Everybody always asks, Rico, who's going to be a breakout freshman? Who's going to do it? And I'm like, man, I was looking at the tape, and here we got, this is what I got. And it didn't work out for Wisconsin. But that's what happens when you're not starting the right players. You get fired. So if I tell you this is the best player in the running back room, I evaluated all the running backs, and you got a senior, and you got a guy who's been in the program for 4 years, and I say, I don't care about none of that. There's this freshman over here better than all of them. And if you don't listen to me, Phil Longo, you'll find your ass coaching at Sam Houston. And now you're this far away from being a head coach in the Power 4. I want you guys to understand that. Being a head coach in the group of 5 is not the job you want to try to become a Power 4 head coach. The way you become a Power 4 head coach is be a successful coordinator at a Power 4 school. Then, when they go looking for new head coaches, they'll come calling you. But if you're a head coach in the group of 5, you got to be undefeated for multiple years before they come looking for you. I'm serious. It's not a game. You're not getting Jamie Chadwell. Jamie Chadwell's amazing. They're never calling Jamie Chadwell. They'd rather go hire an offensive coordinator from somewhere else. Jamie Chadwell's been dominating at Liberty. They're like, cool, bro. You went from Coastal Carolina to Liberty? Cool, bro. We're not calling you. We'd rather call an offense or defensive coordinator from another school. You want to get hired in the Power 4, got to be a coordinator. So now if you're a coordinator in the Power 4 and you suck, you can find yourself head coaching a group of 5 school. And there you go. That's how Phil Longo got his job. It's real. I'll give you another example. That's technically how we got a new head coach at FAU. Coach Kitley, Zach Kitley, he's a great offensive coordinator. The last 2 years at Texas Tech, how has their offense been? Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. And it's probably due to injuries, but it was terrible. One-dimensional, running the ball 300 times a season and can't use all these great wide receivers. You got a 5-star wide receiver on the bench, third string. You got another. You guys ever see me evaluate Texas Tech wide receivers? I start screaming at the top of my lungs how great they are. They had this FCS All-American from Austin Peay, fourth string, and I was like, yo, what are you doing? He's amazing. They got a white dude. I watched the tape. He's a Texas legend. Had 2,000 receiving yards in Texas his senior year of high school. 2,000 receiving yards, and they weren't giving him the ball enough. Coy Aiken. I was like, yo, bro, there are receivers at Texas Tech. We need to get him the ball. So Zach Kitley essentially moved over to FAU to be the head coach. Essentially fired because you're not going to get that head coaching job at the Power 4 level anymore, no matter how good you do. Now, there are exceptions, right? There are exceptions. Hugh Freeze, Lane Kiffin, but those guys had head coaching experience at the Power 4 level already. It's just very rare to find a group of 5 coach getting hired up. Anyways, so when I look at Wisconsin here, and I'm looking at him, Billy Edwards Jr., I like him as a quarterback. I do. I like him a lot. Danny O'Neal didn't impress me at San Diego State last year. Although he was a true freshman starter, he did not impress me. Coming over here, chasing the bag to come be a backup, I don't like that. But more power to him. I can't blame these kids if you're going out to do it. Billy Edwards is a good quarterback coming over from Maryland. Like the guy. Receivers. Vinny's going to be doing numbers, bro. Vinny Anthony is going to be doing numbers. If you're looking for a prop this weekend or anything like that, Vinny Anthony's doing numbers. So is Tretch. Tretch, if you remember Tretch, I believe he had a highlight tape when he was a kid, and it was all over the world, and he's just a slot guy from Hawaii. Like, he's good as well. Terrell Henry's fast. More of a kickoff returner dude. Jaden Ballard, I believe he's a transfer from Boston College, if I remember correctly. Oh, Ohio State, my bad. Kind of the same. Ohio State, Boston College, no big deal. They're kind of similar. So we'll see if Jaden can get in the lineup here. And then Crowdis here. He's a big kid from Kentucky, if I remember. Yep. He's not a big kid. He's only 5'11". I was thinking somebody else, but he is from Kentucky. Sometimes, guys, the names are everywhere. I got notes on everybody, but I'm talking to you guys without any notes. I'm just going. And that's where we're at. And obviously, you know Joe Griffin. Ooh, that's where I got it mixed up. That's your Boston College transfer. You guys know JoJo over here. Boom. And he was actually pretty good at Boston College. And he's big, 6'4", 210. I like Joseph Griffin. To see him third string. Let me say this about this wide receiver room, though. If you ever want to know how good a wide receiver room is, pay attention to the transfers that leave and where they go. The best wide receiver on this team the last 2 years was Will Paulding. And Will Paulding, it just transferred up to Notre Dame. And guess what? He's not even starting at Notre Dame. So that tells you that there's not a single wide receiver on this team that could start at Notre Dame. And Will Paulding's pretty good. CJ Williams is another receiver that left here. He's starting at Stanford, Wisconsin, right? So just be aware of the talent gaps that have changed. When you look on the defensive line, I like it. I don't mind it at all. They're running this 3-4 type of defense, something like that, with a 2-4-5 hybrid, whatever it is. It's a 3-4 defense. Corey Walker coming over from Western Michigan, good player. And I was a little taken back. Like, Western Michigan lost 2 defensive linemen right away. As soon as the window opened, transfer portal window opened, I was like, yo, are these guys tampering? That's crazy, bro. Like, that's not cool. When you look in here, though, linebackers, Tackett Curtis, former stud in high school, 4-star guy, dominated low-level football in Louisiana, so he looked amazing on his tape. All the kids talked about it. All the recruiting websites talked about it. He went to USC. Couldn't get on the field at USC, really. And then he's here now, and he can get on the field. It's fine. Christian Allegro, number 0. Beast of a linebacker. I think he's highly skilled, and I hope he's healthy all year, and he dominates. Ricardo Hallman, 2 years ago, 7 interceptions. Last year, they didn't throw at him as much because he's a damn shutdown corner, and he's the real deal. So they have some pieces out here, and I don't mean to skip over anybody, but every week I'll be talking about these teams. I just want to tell you, Wisconsin has some pieces to be pretty good. How good are they going to be? It's the Big Ten, man. It's difficult. I think somebody has to lose games. Somebody has to lose games. And when you have a starting freshman running back who I believe in, but you're not quite the bell cow that we're looking for, you got a journeyman starting quarterback, things like that. It's just not, it doesn't wow you. It doesn't say to you, scream to you like these guys are winning games. But they should beat Miami of Ohio, no problem. Next matchup, Western Michigan versus Michigan State. I'm going over the MAC teams pretty heavy because I'm obviously going to talk about MAC teams today. But shout out to the Big Ten for just scheduling the nearest MAC team and trying to pay them to do their thing. So we'll talk about Western Michigan first. I hope I should be able to scroll down here. There we go. We'll talk about these damn Broncos, who I really like. Shout out to them. If you're looking at their team, one of the transfers that I'm excited about in the wide receiver room is Christian Leary. This is a former Alabama wide receiver, transferring in from UCF, I believe. Oh, Georgia Tech, my bad. Georgia Tech, Alabama. I said UCF. The colors are the same, dude. When I watch tape, it's colors. It's colors, guys. But nonetheless, started his career at Alabama, was at Georgia Tech for the last 2 years, or last year. Not a bad player. Just interested to see what he does up in the MAC. I see players like this show up to the MAC and just start wrecking house. Like, there's nobody out there that can run with them, and I hope he does amazing things. Obviously, Blake Bosma's been their starting tight end for 3 years. He's very good. I hope they start throwing it to him more. Something happened, and I'm not blaming Lance Taylor at all, the head coach. Good young head coach. But something happened where they stopped throwing the ball to Blake Bosma. That's concerning to me. And now, and one time he had like 6 touchdowns in a season, and now they're telling me Brady Jones is starting. Brady Jones is starting. He's a JUCO transfer. Shout out to Riverside Community College. I'm from Riverside County in Southern California. Vista Murrieta High School. I'm going to have to go watch Brady Jones tape because when I was doing the evaluation, he wasn't there. The guy that was there was Brock Lowry, and Brock Lowry looks like a boring quarterback if you ask me. What this whole team's going to come down to, though, is that running back room. That running back room is nice. Jalen Buckley's always been one of the better running backs in the MAC for at least 3 years now, but he's always been a running back by committee. When Buckley gets the ball, he's great. He reminds me a lot of Terrion Stewart, who just transferred to Virginia Tech out of Bowling Green. Both of them, they're just great when they get the rock, but they don't get enough to be the guy that you can depend on. Like, if you're taking Buckley for 50 yards, you're going to be sweating, bro. You're going to be sitting there, your whole lower half is just going to be sweating in that chair like, holy shit, are we doing this? It's crazy, okay? Another thing I'll say is Cole Cabana's the backup running back. This is a Michigan transfer, a lot of hype, but it's because the fan base is so big. They hype up every recruit they get. He didn't pan out at Michigan. I hope he pans out here. I hope he does well and he's healthy. Cole Cabana looks fun on tape. It looks exciting. They got a running back tandem, 1-2 punch. It is what it is. Now, I wasn't too excited about their offensive line. If I'm being honest, I gave it a really bad rating going into the season. I hope they put it together. Speaking of putting it together, Tate Halleck over here. Tate Halleck leads the team in tackles. He's a former Michigan State transfer. When he was at Michigan State, he couldn't get on the field. He moves over here. He's been getting on the field, leading this team and doing great things. He is huge. I want to say he's 6'3". Oh, he's 6'4". I took away an inch from him. 6'4", 210. You know what this reminds me, guys? And I don't mean to go off on a tangent. You guys ain't ready for this shit, but hear me out. When a guy's 6'4", 210, things come easy to him, bro. You can't relate. Some of you guys are right now. Some of you guys are 5'7". Some of you guys are 5'7". Now, look, I'm 6 feet tall. But the money makes me look 6'5", right? So I'm 6 feet tall. So I walk around, and I don't have a tough time meeting women. Never. Never in my life have I ever struggled. I don't even think I've ever been single. Like, I don't think I've ever been single in my adult life. Since I was like 18 years old, I've always had a girlfriend, always had girls interested in me everywhere I go. Because I got, like, I could dance. I got tattoos and muscles. I got the gift of gab, a sense of humor. Got real intellect. Got money. Nice car. I'm always well put together. So when guys walk up to me and they're like, yo, Rico, how do we seal the deal with a woman? Hey, Rico, how do I get this? How can I get my crush to like me? Can you give me some advice? I got no advice for you, bro. I can't give you any advice because what you're asking for, it doesn't work. Like, I could say what worked for me, but it's not going to work for you. You're 5'4" with bad teeth and you smell bad, bro, and you got no confidence. And you're out there doing the Macarena when everybody else is wondering what the fuck you're doing, bro. You're always doing the cha-cha slide and we don't know what's going on. I'm just telling you, you don't have that gift. You're not there. Tate Halleck's got it, bro. He's got that gift when you see him on the field. You ain't got to teach him much. That dude's gifted right there. I just wanted to go off on that little rant for you guys because I need you to understand that I want to give these guys tips on how to get better, but they don't have all the right pieces. And it's unfortunate because I really want to believe in Western Michigan. I love what they're doing, but they don't have all the right pieces. And you're not going to have the right pieces, and you're never going to get there if you don't address that offensive line. I hope they play well. I'm a big fan of their skill players, but they're not quite there. And for the rest of you guys out there, striking out with your crush, she leaves you on red, she LOLs you. I can't help you, bro. I can't relate. I never been friend zoned like that. Never been friend zoned. Every woman I ever knew was trying to get out of the friend zone. Just keeping it real. Whole different premise in life. Just keeping it real. Central Michigan against San Jose State. That is not what we're talking about. We're over here. Oh, by the way, I left off Michigan State. So Michigan State this year, I expect them to be a much improved team. It's obviously going to be dependent on how Aiden Childs plays, but he has no excuse to not be great. He has a great receiving core. Straight up, good receivers, bro. Nick Marsh had a breakout year last year. He's a very good wide receiver. You got Omari Kelly transferring in. This is a former Auburn receiver who was at Middle Tennessee last year, put up insane numbers. He's got the dropsies. He doesn't catch everything, but he's fast as hell. MVPs know this man from weekday games. We used to bet on Omari Kelly for all his stuff. I hope he improves his consistency and he can make plays, but he's fast. He got that ghetto speed. He'll beat you light pole to light pole. But he does drop the ball just a little bit, and it's frustrating. Christian McCray, transfer from Kent State, good player. Probably the best player at Kent State on a terrible team. And to see him here will be pretty cool. Evan Boyd, a Central Michigan transfer, like him a lot as well. They got the right receivers for this room. Went out and got some transfers on the offensive line. The guy I like most is Connor Moore, coming over from Montana State, FCS stud. Hopefully he can live up to the hype. Jack Valing's back. That is a superstar tight end, probably one of the best tight ends in America. And then you got your running back. And you go out and get a running back. I want to say this. Brandon Toulis played last year, and I don't think he's a Power 4 running back. I don't think he's a Power 4 running back. He got playing time due to injuries, due to things that didn't work out. I just don't see the burst. I don't see how they recruited him to be there. I think he needs to transfer into a lower level of football. He's probably perfect for the MAC, but he's not a Power 4 running back. Elijah Tolliver was third string when I was evaluating Sacramento State running backs 3 years ago, it was 3 years ago when I was looking because Cam Scadaboo was transferring out. And then I saw Marcus Fulcher there and somebody else. So he was like third stringish, and he never stuck out to me for years. And then last year he has a breakout season, and now he's here. I don't think this is a good running back room. I'm not that impressed with that. But I do want to talk to you guys about this guy over here. Jace Clarizio. I hope I'm saying it right. Jace Clarizio is a true freshman. Go turn on the tape. That's what a Power 4 running back looks like. Beast, bro. Fast, slippery. Just Google Jace Clarizio Huddle, Hudl, and go watch that tape. And then you'll know what I'm talking about. And you go watch these guys' tape. And I watched Mekhi Frazier, Brandon Toulis. You know what they remind me of, both these guys? They played as true freshmen last year. They remind me of linebackers. They remind me of high school running backs that become linebackers. I remember being a kid, I watched this linebacker. His name was Chris Claiborne. Shout out to Chris Claiborne. He played in the NFL for the Lions, I believe. Chris Claiborne wore number 55 at USC. He was a linebacker. When I watched him in high school, he played at a high school called JW North. And my father took me to a game to go watch him play. And when we saw Chris Claiborne for the first time, I knew I was looking at an NFL player. But he was playing running back. And I thought, oh, wait, that's what an NFL running back looks like? No, it's not. He wasn't an NFL running back. He was an NFL athlete. He had the right, he's 6'3", 250, whatever. He became a linebacker. And there's some of these guys, they are Power 4 players, but they need to become linebackers. They're not real running back. Like, you know an NFL running back when you see him. And I'm just telling you, that Jace Clarizio dude, as long as he's not injured, that guy's getting on the field. That guy's got burst. He's slippery. I'm sure he doesn't move the pile like these guys. But I like a running back that can just get out there and go. That man can do it. Go watch the tape. Promise. You won't regret it. Defensively, went out and found some answers. You guys see Grady Kelly here. When you look at Grady Kelly, they're going to tell you he's a Florida State transfer. He didn't play at Florida State. He didn't do anything over there. Don't worry about that. What he really did was at Colorado State, where he was dominant, doing great things. He's getting up to 300 pounds. He's right on the edge of 300 pounds. So hopefully he can be that answer, because they're going to need 300-pounders up front to be competitive in the Big Ten. Another guy that's coming in is an Air Force transfer, David Santiago. Never stuck out to me at Air Force, but apparently he's a baller because he showed up. Shout out to them for recruiting a guy from Air Force and getting him into the starting lineup. It's pretty cool stuff. Linebackers, Wayne Matthews was disappointing last year. Hopefully he can play better. The rest of it, it's just like a turnover of talent. They used to have 4 amazing linebackers for the last 2 years or so, and now it's just a turnover. It is what it is. Joshua Eaton, they hit the transfer portal, found their corner of the future. Joshua Eaton, shout out to him. I know he's Texas State, but where was he at before that? Oklahoma. Former Oklahoma transfer from Texas State. Didn't really play all that great at Oklahoma, but Texas State, shit, he played good. So defense is fine. Martinez is good on defense as well. Shout out to Michigan State. They should win this game really, really easy. They should. They should have no problem with Western Michigan. They should be able to just punch them in the mouth, look good. You see their 3 touchdown favorites. I don't know about that spread, but it feels that way. It feels that way. San Jose State against Central Michigan. That is a MAC game. Let's go over here. Illinois against Western Illinois. We're not going to get into this too much. Just going to let you know Illinois is absolutely amazing this year. They have some of the best players in America. They brought back everybody. Their starting offensive line is all back. All conference defensive linemen, all conference linebackers, superstars. I'm going to tell you when I knew how good Illinois was. There's a JUCO corner. His name is Chase Canada. Chase Canada was one of the best JUCO corners that I evaluated. And coming out of JUCO, he signed with Illinois last year. And he couldn't see the field. Couldn't see the field. And he just transferred out. I want you guys to know that was the first indicator that this is a real team right here. This is a really good team. Shout out to Illinois. Another thing I'll let you guys know is you guys remember who's that first rounder from Toledo corner? Just got drafted. Quinn 2 years ago. Number 1 corner from Toledo. I forget his name right now. Quinyon Mitchell, something like that. So QM. Remember, guys, I watch tape. I just look at jersey numbers, not really names. But anyways, his cornerbacks coach at Toledo, the guy who created these first round picks and stuff, he's now the corners coach at Illinois. So I trust that secondary immensely. I trust their offensive scheme. Altmaier is real. Like, they got a great quarterback. They got a great team, man. Illinois is loaded. Went out and found some receivers. Look, if you go like this, let's do this. Oh, I closed it by accident? Let me go back over here. We'll do Illinois football depth chart. It'll come up right here. Check this out. When you see a transfer like Justin Bowick not starting, that lets you know how good that team is. Justin Bowick was a superstar last year at Ball State. Transfers into Illinois and he's not starting because Hudson Clement beat him out. Hudson Clement is fine. He's a feel-good story. Former walk-on, got his scholarship after a really big game early on in the season. I think it was against Duquesne. And he's a kid, played great high school football in Martinsburg, West Virginia. We were driving on the road. I was driving with my father up to go see my daughter, and she lives up in the DMV area, near Frederick and all that. And we were up there to go visit my daughter. And while we were driving, I pointed out to him, we're going up this highway, and I said, hey, look, it says Martinsburg, 20 miles that way. He's like, okay, what's that? I said, best high school football team in West Virginia. They win state all the time. Tyson Bagans, old school. Gerard Bowie's, old school. Like, they got a bunch of players. Hudson Clement's from there as well. So they got a lot of good players. Nonetheless, this team, you don't see transfers in the starting lineup on this team for the most part up here. You just don't. Because these are all returning starters. They're all beasts, bro. They're real. Shout out to them. Another thing I'll point out is Caden Fagan. He's like Herschel Walker. He's like that. He's 6'3", 250 at running back. You don't want to tackle that guy. Brandon Jacobs, whoever you want to name, he's like that. Defensive line, they had to go out and get transfers. James Thompson is a grown man coming in the transfer portal, an absolute grown man. Kurt Neal up front, just a heavy dude. They got some depth. They're all kind of heavy guys. And then you go and get Big Tommy. And Tommy's been growing over the years. Tommy Wadurage, former 4-star, signed with Kentucky out of high school, then went to go transfer, played at West Virginia, had a good year, and then he parlayed that into transferring to Florida State and didn't have a good year, didn't play well, and now he's here. He's just been traveling every single year. None of that really matters. The best defender on this team is this Gabe Jackas dude. Gabe Jackas should be drafted in the first 3 rounds, first 2 rounds, first whatever you want to do, first round. I don't care. That dude is amazing. Shout out to him on tape. That's one of the best players I've evaluated, regardless of position. I think he's just great. Really like him. Obviously, the corners are shut down. Xavier Scott's the real deal. They got a lot of good players, man. This is a great team. But that Gabe Jackas dude, I wouldn't be doing you justice if I didn't tell you about him. When you watch Illinois play, I want you to remember this. When you watch them play, Rico told me about them. Rico told me about them. They have a very difficult schedule, and I think they're winning 9 games. Rico told me about them. They have a long shot. They're really close to being a playoff team. If they can beat Indiana, they can win some other games. Like, it's going to be tough. They got a tough schedule, but they're really skilled. And here, obviously, they're going to beat the ever-living breaks off of Western Illinois. The Leathernecks didn't win a single game for many years. Not one game for like 3 years. It's crazy. They did a little better recently. All right, then we're going to look in Saturday's games. Obviously, Ohio State has to play Texas. Texas is coming on the road to the Horseshoe. I I don't like that matchup. It's a difficult matchup. You know, somebody just asked me on Twitter before all this. They asked me, Rico, what does Ohio State have to do? Who has to have a breakout year for them to repeat as champions? And I said, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who has to have a breakout year for Ohio State to be repeat as champions. They need other teams to fail for Ohio State to repeat as champions. You become a national champion when the nucleus of your team is physically developed with a tremendous amount of continuity within the coaching staff and the players. So I want you to think when most of your star players are singers, that's when you win a national title. When most of your star players are singers, that's when you win the national title. If you look at it last year, they had so many draft picks on the defensive front, defensive line. It's not the same. Like this year, everybody's talking about Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs, best player in college football. Caleb Downs. You got Caleb Downs, you got Sonny in the middle. You got two guys, studs, and they're that far off the ball. Where are your studs up front? Where are your draft picks up front? Your first-round draft picks. You had them last year. Where are they right now? Where are your 3-4-year starters? You don't have that. You have sophomore starters. Guess what? When they're seniors, now you'll be there. So it's not to say that Ohio State's terrible, because I don't think they're terrible. I think Ohio State's I think I have them 7th in my talent evaluations. They're one of the top 10 teams in America. They're very good. But people need to understand that there are levels to this thing, and some years it's another team's turn. It's not your turn this year. Some years it's another team's turn. I don't know if they just envision a wide receiver beating them over the top. Like if that's what they envision, Jeremiah Smith, like they just going around just telling you, hey, Rico, Ohio State's just going to throw it deep every play and you can't do anything about it. These guys will bracket the coverage. They will reroute at the line of scrimmage. They will take away slants. They'll take away everything. These guys got players. Texas has 4 first-round draft pick caliber players on the defense right now. Yep, starting. Texas is real. Texas is absolutely real. These rankings aren't real. These rankings are just fictitious things some nerd in the media made up. They're not real. Next game, Florida Atlantic against Maryland. Florida Atlantic's going to be up against it. Yes, I like Zach Kitley. I like what they have at quarterback. I like what they have in receiver room. They're going over here, and they got to go to Maryland on the road. Maryland, known to punch somebody in the mouth. Maryland's not bad. If they play a group of 5 team, they can absolutely dominate them. Now, Maryland in conference, a little more difficult to deal with, unfortunately for them. But they're going to have no problem here. I truly believe that. Ball State and Purdue. I want you guys to know Ball State, sneaky good team. Dealt with a lot of injuries over the last couple of years. I love what they're doing in the wide receiver room. Weatherly coming in from the FCS, stud player, and an all-conference guy from the FCS coming in, and they have a true freshman that I think has a little bit more juice than everybody else. I talked about it just the other day for the MVPs. But when you look at this guy, Elisha Durham, it's a little bit more juice than you're used to seeing in the MAC. Eric Weatherly's my guy. You got some senior wide receivers. The entire offensive line. They had 3 guys go down in the preseason last year with injuries and in fall camp, and then they were done for the whole year. Or they might have started 1 game, and then they were done for the whole year. So if they can avoid the injury bug, you're looking at returning starters. You're looking at a very senior offensive line. That could be very helpful for them. What's not helpful is Kale Kelly can't really throw. Qua Ashley, former running back at Kennesaw State, transferring in, that's fine. This is the concern right here. Kelly, former defensive back. He was a quarterback. Didn't work out. They moved him to defensive back because they had Caden Samanza last year. Caden's now over at Tulane backing up the assaulter. But it is what it is. But Kyle Kelly now back at quarterback. He's a dual threat guy, not known for his throwing ability. When you have this many good wide receivers and it looks like they can be pretty decent, you hope you'd have a quarterback that can lace it and throw the ball. They don't have that, okay? By the way, Walter Taylor, Colorado transfer. It is what it is. Defensively, Joey Stemler's leading this defense. That's my guy. Love everything about him. Avery Stewart intrigues me coming back in the transfer portal. And Willie, he goes by Willie, not Willie Zahn. Willie Yates, I really like a lot. I want to explain something to you guys. They call these, I forget what they call themselves. It's like the Ball Boys or something boy with a Z at the end. So check this out. Eric McLean gets a chance to start last year, 6th game of the season, as a true freshman. And he plays so good, he starts the rest of the year. Willie starts as well. Both of these corners, were starting true freshman corners last year. They have the chance, if they play great and they stay at school, they have the chance to be 4-year starters together. Now, I'm pretty sure teams are going to come scout these kids because they're pretty good players. This secondary is not bad, bro. In MAC play, I expect these guys to play great. I really do. I like the way this secondary looks. Joey Stemler's a leader at linebacker. Defensive line leaves a lot to be desired. It's cool. Voorhees showing up is fine, but it's still not quite there defensive line-wise. But I like the linebacker room, and I love the secondary at Ball State. Now, who are they playing? They're playing Purdue. And a lot of guys are thinking Purdue is absolute dog shit, whatever it is. It's different, man. Obviously Purdue was terrible last year, fired their head coach, and now they go out and hire Barry Odom. Barry Odom coming over from UNLV. What did he do? He didn't bring a bunch of UNLV guys with him. He brought some, but he really brought Arkansas guys with him because he's the former Arkansas defensive coordinator back in 2022. Some of those guys are still in college football, and he brought them. I want to point out some players, though. Ryan Brown was announced as starter. That was surprising to me because I was hoping Malachi Singleton had a shot at this. I really was. Malachi Singleton, in high school, playing at North Cobb here in Georgia, he made it to the state title, not state title game, he made it to the state playoffs, maybe quarterfinals as a sophomore, and he just looked like a grown man amongst boys. Now, obviously, he hit puberty early, and everybody's been catching up to him ever since, but that's a dual-threat quarterback who I like a lot, so I hope he can figure that out. Obviously, he's fourth string at this point. It doesn't look good. Ryan Brown's your starter. Coming back, you got good running backs. Malachi Thomas transferring in. That's the former backup running back at Virginia Tech. Let's make sure. Yep, former backup running back at Virginia Tech. Never really wowed me at Virginia Tech, but he's played some football before. The guy is Devin Mockabee, former high school hurdler, 900-yard rusher as a freshman, been around. Just kind of nothing too special, but he's been around. He's fine. They got starters. They brought in transfers. Good guys. Jade McCoskey's huge, blocks out the sun. This is an Indiana State transfer, the Sycamores. He's 6'8", 320 pounds or so. If he can do it, wide receivers, you've got the all-criminal team at wide receivers. Absolute criminals up here. It's crazy to me. We're looking at DUI, Charles Ross, Corey Smith, Michael Jackson, who's been at USC and Georgia, still hasn't seen the field. Magwood's a former Kentucky transfer. Yeah, I just can't. I don't know. It's just criminals. It's just criminals, bro. Tony Grimes coming in. He's a good player. Tony Grimes is a good player. Former 5-star. He used to start at North Carolina. He used to start at A&M and went to UNLV. I like Hershey McLaurin the most on tape. That's my favorite player on this team, on the defense, for sure. Hershey McLaurin is my favorite player on this defense. You heard it here first. Don't forget that, okay? But what Purdue's going to do is they actually did the opposite of what Southern Miss did. Coach Huff and them guys, they showed up down to Southern Miss. They brought all these players, but they didn't bring any linemen. These guys brought linemen, and they addressed their offensive line. I think their offensive line is comparable to other Power 4 offensive lines, and I think that's going to carry them a long way. You know, this Joey Tenona guy right here, this was a 4-star coming out of high school. Joey Tenona went to Notre Dame, got in a car accident on the way to practice one day, and then had to medically retire because he had a long concussion protocol thing going on from the car accident, and they didn't let him play football in Notre Dame. What Notre Dame does is when they want to cut players, they put them on medical retiree scholarships. So you're still on a school scholarship, but you can't play football anymore. They did it to 2 players this year. They do it all the time, and they don't even announce it. I have to go do the research and find it out, and I'm like, what the fuck? Notre Dame's got this way of processing people out. It's not cool. But nonetheless, Joey Tenona hit the transfer portal 2 years ago after medically retiring, and he's been at Purdue, and now he's finally in the starting lineup, starting at left tackle, which is the most skilled position to be. If you didn't know, among offensive linemen, that's the best position to be, and there he is. So I'm really impressed with this. Shout out to him. I'm excited for him. He's been in recovery. I don't think he played football for like 2 years. Interested to see how he pans out. So shout out to Purdue. I want to see how they look against Ball State. Ball State's sneaky good, but obviously it's a 17.5 line. I think Ball State can cover that line. Now I sound crazy because they got it. I think they can cover that line. Purdue's going to be just like many of these other teams with coaching continuity issues or personnel issues, and Trill's trying to figure out who's the starter and who's not. But they got Mockabee, with an offensive line. They could run, get first downs, and Ball State might not be able to stop them up front. I got that. But it's 17.5 points. Is Purdue going to go all out in these first 2 games? They open up with Ball State and Southern Illinois. They got to win the first 2 games, and I'll be really happy because I have Purdue in a parlay for 2 wins this season. I have a parlay for 2 wins. It's 20 units, bro. 20 units. If you guys don't know, I can let you know because you can't even take the bet. I want you to know I parlayed 3 teams to win 2 games each. 3 teams to win 2 games each. And Purdue's one of them. And I bet 20 units on it. And I think it's going to happen because those teams are going to win 2 games. Shout out to Purdue. They've got to beat Ball State and Southern Illinois. I like my chances. And if they don't, then they got to beat Northwestern later in the year. That's a whole other conversation. Speaking of 2 wins, I'm not on Kent State to win 2 games, but here they are. They're playing Merrimack. They're favorite. They don't show the line here, but they're 7-point favorites. Yikes. I'll talk about that. I just realized I'm on the Big Ten thing. Yikes. I don't want to see that game. I'm going to probably have to see it. Tulane, Northwestern. Shout out to Tulane. Tulane is a great team. They're favored in this game over a Power 4 team. Northwestern. Nobody believes in Northwestern. Nobody believes in Northwestern. I want to point out one guy on Northwestern, not Preston Stone, but they have a receiver that just transferred in from Stanford. And if you go turn on the tape, he's a white guy. He's from high school. Go turn on his high school tape. He's from, where's he from? One of them, Oaks Christian? Yeah, Oaks Christian High School. Perennial power in California, Oaks Christian High School. Shout out to Chase Farrell here. His high school tape impressed me the most. Go look at Chase Farrell huddle tape, please. Please, MVPs. Anybody watching this? Go over there and watch it and learn. Chase Farrell is one of the most dynamic, explosive athletes I've seen on tape. I fully expect Northwestern to have a slot receiver that's a mother problem. Okay, he's a mother flipping problem. The other guy you want to pay attention to is Griffin Wild. He's transferring up from South Dakota State. He is another white guy. He's crafty, bro, but he's got crazy stats. He's got over 1,000 yards receiving. Like, that guy's real. Okay, so the two of these guys are far and away better than you think. I'll just leave it like that. They're better than you think. They are. Okay, and then you go and get Preston Stone, former starting quarterback at SMU. Obviously lost his job last year. Jack Lausch is still here. Gavin Franks comes in. Don't worry about Gavin Franks. He's been a backup quarterback everywhere he goes. I don't know what the hell he keeps transferring for. Maybe he just wants a Northwestern degree, but that guy's silly. Whoever's advising that guy on where he needs to go play football is absurd. He needs to stop transferring all this. He's transferring in from Vanderbilt. And that's because he followed his coaching staff from New Mexico State. You were the backup to Diego Pavia. You transferred in. You were the backup to Diego Pavia at New Mexico State. You go to Vanderbilt. You transfer over there to be his backup again. And now he got his extra year of eligibility. Now you're not starting. So then you want to leave. And now you're transferring to Northwestern. You can't play here, bro. They got Preston Stone. It's crazy. So shout out to Northwestern. If you're looking on the defensive side of the ball and you want a guy to believe in, a guy you've never heard of, Mac is right here. Mac U is how I call him. I don't know how to say his last name. Mac is the best defender on this team. I like him a lot. Josh Fusel's a young stud. I like him a lot too. But this guy impressed me so much on tape. That's your guy. That's who you're looking for. Number 37 in the middle. Shout out to him. Shout out to Northwestern. I like the team. Good luck. They got a tough game. They're playing Tulane, and I'll talk about Tulane on their day. It's a tough one. Okay. I'll get to the chat, guys. I'm sorry I'm talking so fast. If you're watching on TikTok and you got a question or a comment, all you got to do is go to YouTube, drop it in the chat. We'll be doing the Q&A here in a little bit. Let it all load up, guys. Load it all up. I got you guys. Okay. Indiana facing Old Dominion. I like Old Dominion a lot, but they're playing Indiana. Indiana's a machine. They're a power. Remember last year, I told you guys Indiana's winning 9 games in the preseason. I said they're winning 9 to 10 games in a row. Not that they're going to win. The over-under on Vegas was 5.5, and I was screaming. Like, this is crazy. Sell your car. I went out and put 20 units on it, personally. I told Kim, get in the car. You guys don't know this. I live in Georgia. Kim lives in Georgia. Well, I live in South Carolina now, but at the time, we lived in Georgia. Kim is a resident of Virginia. That's where she pays her taxes. That's where she owns a property. That's where she lives. So Kim is down here with me, down in Georgia, just with me, chilling in the living room. And I'm doing my research, and I come across Indiana. I don't look at the over-under. I don't look at the over-under because I don't want it to influence me. I look at the team, and I evaluate all the players and all the rosters. And then I go look at their schedule. I don't do win-loss totals until I've looked at every single team in America. So when I look at the schedule, I can already identify what we call guaranteed wins. And I go count the guaranteed wins. And I go, all right, they're guaranteed to win this many games. And I do that for every single team in America. I'm not even joking. And you know what? I want to pull something up. Let me see if I can pull it up right now. Well, I'm glad that didn't come up. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Talent chart and win totals. I'm going to pull this up for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. And I have this sorted right now so you guys won't be able to see it. And I'll just go to the bottom real quick. So I do this chart like this. And all these numbers don't mean anything to you, but I'll explain one of the numbers that should mean something to you, okay? One of the numbers here is this B column. B column is guaranteed wins. I guarantee these teams are guaranteed to win this many games. And I do this for every single team in America after I evaluate all the rosters and do all the analysis. I get guaranteed wins, and then this is the Vegas win total, over under. Win total, over under. And when you see a number, like if we see this number right here, guaranteed wins, Ball State, guaranteed 2 wins, but Vegas has them at 3.5. That means they got to win 2 more games out of the next 10 that they're not guaranteed to win. It could be a coin flip. It could be a competitive game, whatever. When I say guaranteed wins, I mean they're guaranteed. Guys, it's crazy. I can look at UCF and give them 2 guaranteed wins. Colorado, 2 guaranteed wins. Well, if you think Colorado's winning, let's say you think Colorado's winning 8 games. If you're a fan and you're like, Rico, we're going 8-4. Like, that's cool. But now let's go look at the schedule and let's point out the guaranteed wins, the ones you know they won't lose at all. And you only come up with 2. You can't have an opinion on them versus UCF or them versus Baylor. Like, we don't want to hear none of that. It's guaranteed wins. And when you do it like this, as you scroll up, you will find teams like this right here with a 3 and a 3. Guaranteed, Charlotte and Tulsa. Guaranteed to win 3 games based upon their schedule. Vegas has them at 3.5. That's a very good spot to be if you see those 3s right there. Very good spot. And I don't want to scroll to the top because those are the teams that I'm really high on. Those are the teams that where we parlayed and made money. But the point I'm trying to make is I do this analysis. So last year, made a chart like that, did my research, and I come across Indiana, and I remember looking at it, and I go, wait, they're guaranteed to win 8 games. And not just 8 games, they're guaranteed to win 8 games in a row. I have 8 guaranteed wins for Indiana in a row. And Vegas had them at 5.5. I lost my mind. I made a video, started screaming, telling MVPs, you got to do this. And I tell Kim, yo, Kim, get in the car. Get in the car, Kim, and go drive 7 hours to Virginia, because it's not legal here in Georgia. Go drive 7 hours to Virginia. Go to your mom's for one night. But when you get to Virginia, I got something you got to do. And I wire her over, I think it was like 10 grand. And I sound crazy. But my kids got new cars. You know what I'm saying? But my kids got new cars this offseason. We're doing something right. Shout out to the MVPs. Nonetheless, shout out to Indiana. They're going to win this game against Old Dominion. Old Dominion's a good team. Really like them. Indiana's still loaded. Don't believe any of the hype that Indiana's not good. They're not as good as they were last year. All this stuff. Indiana is very good. They have a nucleus of players that are great. They have a great coaching staff. They have the right temperament, the right mentality, the right culture. Indiana's very good. Okay? Penn State against Nevada. You couldn't see a bigger discrepancy in talent between Penn State and Nevada. I'm going to tell you this right now. Penn State is a lock to make the playoffs this year. An absolute lock to make the playoffs. Penn State is borderline going undefeated, right? Or they're going undefeated, or they're going to have 1 loss. I have Penn State going undefeated. Some people might have them with 1 loss. They're playing Nevada. Nevada is the worst team in the Mountain West. Nevada is one of the bottom 5 teams in America. This is going to be a massacre. There is no way Nevada can be competitive with Penn State. They're getting paid. That's cool. This will be a massacre. I expect the score to be 35-0 at halftime, if not worse. If not worse. I'm just letting you know. Montana State versus Oregon, a little different. Montana State's actually pretty decent. They can play some football. They should not be competitive with Oregon at all. Oregon's still one of the top teams, one of the top rated teams, evaluated teams. They got all the talent in the world. How is their quarterback going to work out? We'll find out. It doesn't really matter. Montana State's not that like that. Montana State just lost their 3-year starting quarterback. They just lost their best running back to New Mexico. They still have pieces, though. Don't blow them off. That's one of the better teams in the Big Sky. No team in the Big Sky should be competitive with Oregon. They should be a massacre as well. That 29.5 is juicy, bro. That shit is juicy. Juicy. Yeah, I can see Oregon up 35-0 at half as well. Iowa against Albany. We'll figure that out when we get there. Don't know much about Albany. I have to do research this week, but Iowa, very mid. Iowa looks very mid to me. There's a reason they're not ranked. Iowa's obviously got a certain pedigree of defenders and players, and they always figure it out, and they got a great track record. Iowa does. But when you look at that roster, I see a lot of guys starting that are 5th-year redshirt seniors. And you say to yourself, well, that's good, Rico, that's good. No. It's their first time on the field. They've done nothing more than been on field goal units, maybe special team. They've never played. And if you've never been in the rotation in 5 years, that's crazy. You're not even on the field. You're not even in the rotation. They got 8 linebackers in a rotation. You're not one of them. And this goes for the whole linebacker room. It's bad. I hope they can play football. I hope all the Iowa fans out there, I hope you guys are right. That your bench warmers are good enough to start at other schools. That's what everybody likes to think. Everybody likes to tell me all the time, Rico, all our guys can do this and all our guys can do, and I'm just like, really? Well, our whole room is pros. Really? Like right now, the Colorado fans are trying to tell me their wide receiver room's great, right? They're trying to convince me that wide receiver room's great. What round were your wide receivers drafted in? Like, what rounds were they drafted in? 6th and 7th round wide receivers? 6th and 7th round wide receivers. What does that mean for their backups? They're undrafted. They're not 6th and 7th. They're not even, the starters were 6th and 7th wide receivers. So what are these guys in behind them? People don't think like this. They do this to me all the time with Georgia. Georgia running back room. Georgia running back room. We can do this. Let's go Georgia football stats. Look at this shit. Let's go back 2022. Kenny McIntosh. Cool. Let's go back 2023. Still Kenny? Oh, no. We'll go back to Kenny McIntosh. 2022, your leading rusher was Kenny McIntosh. Do you know what round Kenny McIntosh was drafted in? I do. 7th round. So if you think you got a whole room of professionals, but the 7th round, this is a 7th rounder, then what are all these guys? I can tell you what they are. Are they going to develop into something else? Maybe. The potential's there. But I can tell you what they are. This is a 7th round draft pick. So what happens the next year? 2023. Undrafted. Andrew Paul, torn ACL, gone. Jacksonville State. Never even seen Savon Clark. Roderick Robinson, the bee's knees. I like him. Cool dude. True freshman. As long as he's healthy. He's not healthy right now. Go back to 2022. Who was the other running back? Third running back. These guys are undrafted. Branson Robinson. Where's he at right now? Backup. Georgia State. Got injured. Rico did it. No. You don't have professional running backs in your room. They're not all professionals. And you keep talking like this, and then we go to 2024. Who got drafted? Trevor Etienne gets drafted. Is he a Georgia running back? Or did you go to the transfer portal to find a running back because you didn't have professional running backs in your room? None of these guys are professional running backs. Nate Frazier is. Now you got Nate Frazier, who I told you before he ever played a down of college football, that's a 5-star running back. I don't know how many stars they gave him. They gave him 4. They ignored it. I watched him at Modern Day. I watched his huddle tape. I said, that's a 5-star running back. Blazing fast. But listen to what I'm trying to show you. Not everybody in the room is a draft pick. You keep telling me they're all draft picks, but statistically, they're not. So when I look at Iowa, I've got guys seeing the field for the first time this year, and they're not draft picks, man. They're not. You can tell me they are. You can tell me the whole room is great. I don't believe you. Shout out to Iowa. New Mexico at Michigan. I'm really encouraged by New Mexico this year. I'll talk about them when I do a Mountain West episode on a Friday one day. I'm probably not going to talk about the Mountain West this week just because of time constraints and the games are on Friday. But Michigan. Bee's knees. Michigan's good. They're always going to be good. They're always going to be relevant. Do I think they're elite? Not at all. I don't think they're elite. They're starting a true freshman at quarterback. They don't have an exceptional wide receiver room. Good running backs, good offensive line, good defense. And then the defense is good all the way around. Defense is stout. Every level of this defense is really good. I'll give that to Michigan. So I think where you need to lean on the Michigan games, not in this particular game against New Mexico, but in conference games, start looking at the over-under and start believing in Michigan's defense to help you hit that under. Because their offense is going to sputter at times. They're going to have growing pains. They're going to learn. But injuries to their starting running back room, a number of things can go wrong, and I don't think they'll get out of that hole and put up a ton of points. So unders on Michigan is a real thing. Next game is Missouri State. Welcome to the FBS. Your first game is at USC. You guys know there was a time, and it still might be true, USC is the only team in the entire FBS who's never scheduled an FCS opponent. I believe that was a true statement. That was a fact in 2022. Somebody is going to have to fact check that. There's 2 teams. I thought it was them and Notre Dame, but it's got to be Notre Dame then finally scheduled an FCS opponent in the last 2 years. But USC never has. And now technically they haven't because they got Missouri State here, who is an FCS team until this year. USC should blow the brakes off these dudes. It's at home. They should hit on all cylinders. USC's going to have a high-scoring offense. They got all the right pieces. Let them go out there and do it. I'm going to try to learn about Missouri State in this game. I don't know much about them, so we'll figure that part out. Shout out to them. Shout out to USC. They got a good team. Utah at UCLA. UCLA, Nico. You know, I said this as a joke one day. I said UCLA, when I was a kid, UCLA always recruited light-skinned black dudes. It wasn't like the real ones. It wasn't like real athletes. It was always some rich kids who got a black dad and a white mom. And when we were growing up, I'm just gonna keep it real. When we were growing up, we'd be like, "Yo, you half as nice. You're not really that fast. You're kind of fast, but you're not that fast." And if you guys are gonna pretend like these conversations don't happen, they do, right? In high school, on the team, we would be like, "Yo, Jamie and Jamal are the fastest dudes you'll ever see," and then they're like, "No, Eli's over here." Nah, man, Eli got a white mom, bro. He can't even dunk a basketball. He can't jump. Half of him can't jump. The other half can. That kind of shit, right? So when I look at UCLA, they got players, they got athletes. I'm not ignorant. I'm being humorous with you, but they just feel like they don't got the juice. They don't got the juice. I wish they did, but they don't. Shout out to UCLA. Utah, best offensive line in America. One of the top 3 offensive linemen, top offensive line groups in America, I should say. The only issue with Utah is they have no depth. They lost a lot of players to the transfer portal. A lot of their depth isn't there anymore, so they have true freshmen in the starting lineup. What's cool is they have a great recruiting base. They're getting all their players from Pacific Islands, from Utah, and that combination works really well for them. So they get a bunch of grown-ass men showing up, and these dudes are doing missions just like BYU. So they're showing up 2 years after their mission. A freshman at Utah could be 20 years old, physically developed, and a grown man. And a starter that's been starting at Utah for 3 years is probably 23, 24 years old. Or older, 25 sometimes. So Utah is going to have a physically mature team. Obviously, breaking in a new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, new this, new that. That's fine. But for the most part, I think Utah is just more physically developed than UCLA. And then if we're comparing those 2 teams, I think there's a huge advantage at Utah in the coaching staff. I love Deshaun Foster. Bruh. CIF Southern Section right here. That's where I grew up, born and raised, played ball there, everything. I know all about Santa Margarita versus Tustin, CIF championship game. I know Deshaun Foster. I'm a Deshaun Foster dude. But there's levels to this. And if you look at Utah, that's a real coaching staff. They've been around the block. They've been doing this for a while. And I think they have an advantage there. Got to call it like you see it. It is 11 p.m. It's the middle of the night. It's at UCLA. Rose Bowl sucks. I've actually coached in the Rose Bowl personally, so I know that field sucks. The environment sucks. There's no ambiance there. Give me Utah. They should win that game. They're -6 favorites. Sounds about right. Anyways, and then we got Colorado State at Washington. Nobody's talking about Washington. Nobody. But this guy. Damon Williams is him. Don't you forget it. Washington has a coaching advantage everywhere they go. I think Washington is a special team. That's a huge spread. 22.5. That's a huge spread. Washington is a very, very, very special team. I wouldn't be surprised if Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, the starting quarterback for Colorado State, BFN, big fan of the channel. Shout out to his dad. Follows me on Twitter. We talk all the time in the DMs. He actually personally invited me to go to the Colorado State-Colorado game last year. I declined. I don't like to be around Colorado fans. I don't want to have to kill them. And I don't go anywhere without carrying. So we'd probably be down a couple Colorado fans if I ever met them in life. But nonetheless, shout out to Colorado State. I like them. Son's good. They're good players, but the corners at Washington are elite. They did lose one of their stud young linebackers, House. He just transferred to North Carolina. That team at Washington is going to be good this year. You guys hear me out. Very good this year. They're going to be ranked. They're going to be one of those good teams that people aren't paying attention to. So that's the whole matchup. Let's go to the chat. Let's have a talk. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate everybody. Let's go to the chat. Sorry for all the craziness up here. As you guys ask your questions, make your comments, do everything you can. Put it in the chat. I will get to it. Don't repeat yourself. Don't spam my chat. But I appreciate you guys for being here. If you're watching on TikTok right now, you want to ask me a question, take part in the show, go to YouTube, search RicoKnows, join the live stream. That's all you got to do. We don't read down here. We don't get paid to do it. So let's go interact. What's up? So first thing I want to do, I did give a shout out earlier in the show. I want to do it again. Shout out to Rusty Scopana for becoming an MVP on YouTube. We don't get a lot of those, but I appreciate you. Once again, if you want to be an MVP, get all my picks against the spread. Get me to break down every single game. I talk about weekday games for like half an hour. I talk about all the matchups, explain to you why a guy's better than so-and-so. I know these players from high school. I know all their huddle tape. I've watched every snap of their college career. This is why we win money, because I know the players, and I can tell you what's going to work and what doesn't. Ask an MVP, bro. The MVPs are in the chat right now. Ask an MVP how they feel about it. There's not a single MVP out there. There's nobody out there making videos going, Rico's a fraud, Rico's a liar, Rico's this. There's no such thing exists in the world, because for 3 years, I've been telling the truth and I've been getting it right. Shout out to Rusty, though. I appreciate you for being an MVP. Anybody else, go to Patreon. Download Patreon. It's in the App Store. It's like OnlyFans, except I keep my clothes on. Go over there. Become great. Do what you do. Chad Tidwell says, Chad Tidwell, why aren't you Rod Tidwell, bro? Why aren't you Rod Tidwell? Show me the money. Show me the money, Rod Tidwell. He says, let's go, baby. Rico knows. Hey, how'd you guys like that intro song? That intro song was fire, bro. I got 22 intro songs. I can make more. We used AI to make them. A rapper tried to charge me, I think it was $2,000. He wanted the masters on it. Bro, what are you talking about? $2,000? I go to AI, they make me a song in 10 seconds. I'm not even joking. We'll keep doing our AI songs. It is what it is. About to take an afternoon nap with Rico in the background. I already got some bets in. Lines are moving. They watch Rico knows. Shout out to Armin. If you guys don't know, the MVPs are like, hey, when Rico says something, the line starts to move that way. It starts to move, and it goes there. Listen, you guys are moving the line, because I will talk about an obscure game where there's no money on that game. And I will tell you, this game right here, we have an advantage. Vegas got it wrong. Go do what you do. Now, MVPs, there's thousands of you. If each of you go put $100 on that, that turns into a $100,000 bet collectively. That's what moves the line. You guys are moving the line, not me. Nobody's watching me. They're watching your money hit the apps and hit all the sports books. So shout out to you guys. I appreciate you guys. No Meter Green says, Rico knows track going crazy, getting sturdy to this song. Bruh, it was sturdy. It was real, man. I like that. Shout out to you, man. I'm glad you like the song. Willie Bobo says, I'm here, player. What up, Willie Bobo? Just remember, we got fights tonight. We'll be live streaming them. We're going to start the fights at 8 p.m. Eastern, so we got about an hour and a half. This show shouldn't make it to 8. I don't think so. We just finished out. All we got is the MAC matchups, and I talked about a lot of them. So we should be good. Show will be over really quick once I get through this Q&A. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate you. Next question is, you're a YouTube All-American, Rico. Oh, thank you so much, man. I try. I don't really work on YouTube all that much. I don't care how many people show up here. Something you guys will learn throughout the years. When I do a live stream, if I'm doing something real popular, we'll get 10,000 people in here. It's happened before. I'm not exaggerating, 10,000 people in here. And we can get 30 people in here. I don't give a shit how many people are in here. The energy's always going to be the same. The enthusiasm's always going to be the same. The delivery's going to be the same. The knowledge is always going to be the same. I'm prepared for the show. I'm prepared for whatever happens in the future, but I'm also going to give you the same level of effort every single day, no matter what. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Even if I'm not an All-American, I'll be honorable mention. I'm good. Shout out to me. PJ is tough. Yes, PJ Jules is tough. Appreciating Mac action, baby. There we go. Eric Weatherly says Ball State versus Purdue. Is that Eric Weatherly? Is that real Eric Weatherly? Is that the Eric Weatherly? Ball State? I had no idea. Eric Weatherly from Ball State up in here. If that is you, man, I think you're a hell of a baller. Shout out to you. I think you guys are great. I'm really pulling for you guys. I just don't know if you can beat Purdue. I'm being honest. Purdue's pretty stout up front, but I appreciate the players when they find the platform. I appreciate everybody. It's just difficult, man. It's difficult. Purdue looks stout. They look stout. Hopefully you guys can ball out of control and do your thing. Jordan Carlin says, a faucet of information on Rico knows. Thank you so much. Hopefully you're not drinking from a fire hydrant like Shador Sanders. Hopefully you can handle everything that I'm putting out, and you guys are taking good notes and you're learning about the teams and the matchups. Sensei Rico, appreciate you. Oh, thank you for being an MVP. If you guys don't know, that little shield he has next to his name, you get those shields the longer you're an MVP. It starts off like with a really faded shield. Eventually, if you get a gold shield, that means you've been an MVP over like a year, something like that. So I appreciate you. And yes, they do call me Sensei Rico. I stopped teaching martial arts for a living. I got off that, but there was a time my gi would say Sensei Rico and all that stuff. I'm not into that. It doesn't pay as much, And I was always sore every day. Now I go to the gym, work out, and come home when I want at my own leisure. It is what it is. Boston Still Sucks and says, hey, y'all, I love the Big Ten review day. Love this conference. Shout out to Boston. Boston is an A1 day one. Been an MVP probably longer than anyone. Boston Still Sucks has been, I think he was the second MVP to ever sign up, but I want to say he's been an MVP longer than anyone that's still an MVP. So shout out to Boston Still Sucks. I appreciate you, bro. Jake says, hey, Rico, how involved were you with college football analytics before you built your platform? Oh, wow. So it's a long story. I don't think involved in college football is the right word. I think now I'm involved in college football. So when I was 18 years old, I went and applied for a job at a newspaper. There's a newspaper in Southern California. I don't know the name of it now. It's like called The Sun or something like that. But when I was a kid, it was called The Desert Sun. And it was a newspaper in Palm Springs. It was a subcomponent of the Gannett News Service. And I went to go apply for a job as a IT guy. I've always known computers. I am a former cyber NSA expert, certified ethical hacker, CCNA certified, Linux Plus certified, Sec Plus certified. I have like 15 different certs. I've been working NSA Red Team for the last 10 years. I'm an NSA cyber expert. I won't hide it from you. That's what I used to do for a living. Used to make 6 figures doing that. Everything's fine. I stopped doing that to do this. This is the dream. This is the life. But when I went to go apply for that job, I went up there. I went for an interview. It was like the middle of the night for this interview because the nighttime lady, the manager that was interviewing me, she didn't get in until 6 p.m. So I might have showed up at like 7 p.m. And I remember going to this building. It was a 2-story building. My mother had worked there for years upon years. And I'm saying my mother had worked there for 15 years, my stepmother, maybe 20 years. At this time, maybe 15 years. And when she worked there, my aunt worked there. Like a lot of the family worked. It's a local place. Everybody works there. They all worked in different sections during the day. They worked in classifieds and advertising and all this stuff. But I wanted to work in the IT section, and they wanted me at night to do some stuff. So when I went into the interview, they asked me, "Hey, do you know anybody else who works here?" And because they recognized my name. My name is Rico, the same first and last name. And I said, "Yeah, my mom works here during the day downstairs. She works in this section. Oh, my aunt works over here." And then the lady looked at me and she's like, "Oh, so you know all these people." And I don't know if she just didn't like my family, but she looked at me and says, "I'm sorry, we're not going to give you the job." She's like, what if there's a family emergency and then all you guys call out?" And I thought that was crazy. I thought it was the craziest cop out ever. And my cousin worked in that section. I thought I was going to get the hookup. And I got a really good work ethic. I didn't, and it wasn't even my cousin. It was his best friend. His name was Vince. Shout out to Vince. Yeah, I just realized that. But a guy who looks like my cousin, actually. They both ran cross country together. So yeah, Vince worked in there, and I knew Vince, and I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna get this job." And the lady gave me this excuse, and I was just devastated. Like right there in the middle of the interview, she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna hire you. Not, we'll call you later." She just told me I'm not gonna hire you, and I was like, "Fuck." Like damn, because I just drove 30 minutes to get there. It was like 30 minutes from where I live, and I'm a young kid. I'm disappointed, and I'm walking out. And back then, TVs were huge. Like CRT TVs, cathode ray tube TVs, like the big square TVs. You know, Zenith, a big Zenith TV, RCA, whatever it is, right? So those TVs were huge. They were hanging a 35-inch TV off the ceiling on a huge bracket. And I'm saying that TV had to be 300 pounds. It's hanging off the bracket, and I just thought, man, that's crazy. But I'd never seen TVs hanging from the ceiling before. I'd never been in a bar. I'd never seen TVs hanging from a ceiling, and I thought that's really cool. So I intentionally walked over there by those TVs, and it was the sports section. And the sports section only works at night. It had a sports editor, and it had a bunch of writers, like 6 or 7 writers in these cubicles. And they're all watching the games. They were watching football games, baseball, and I think at this time of the year, it was baseball games. But they had these baseball games on, and they were writing down all these notes. They had these computer screens going, and they were working for real, getting the results of the games and writing their stories and putting them out on something called The Wire. So as I was walking by, there was this prep writer. He was a sports writer, but he only covered high school games. And his name was Ed Castro. R.I.P. Ed Castro. He's passed away today. But Ed Castro looked up from his desk and he saw me. And he said, "Hey, aren't you Rico?" And I looked at him and I thought, "Yeah, man, what's going on?" And Ed had interviewed me in the past after like a football game or a wrestling match. So I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I lettered in 3 sports every year. I was a tri-sport athlete. So I would play football in the fall, wrestle in the winter, and then run track in the spring. I was really accomplished at every single one of them, but I'd say my best was football and track. So he said, "Hey, you're Rico." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, man, that's a good kid. Da, 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 da. I used to play." And I had just graduated high school. I was 17 years old when I graduated high school. And I was just talking to these guys and just kind of chopping it up with them. And the sports editor overheard me. And he said, "Oh, you know sports?" And I said, "Oh, yes, sir. I know a lot about sports." He goes, "Would you be interested in a job?" And I just kind of looked at it. I thought, this is crazy. This can't be real. And he gave me a job offer right there on the spot. And he said, "We need somebody to format box scores." And it was called an agate clerk or an agate text. And a lot of times in my life, I'll tell you guys this, like, it feels like I just got lucky, but it's not luck. It's preparation, and it's being prepared for the moment. Because when he asked me, "Hey, do you know sports?" I really did know sports. At that time, I used to own baseball and football cards and basketball cards, and I would read all the stats on the back and memorize all of them. I would know every player, his height, weight, his hometown, his college, and then all his stats. I would be like, "Oh, Ricky Henderson, he stole 132 bases in 1984. Like, I would just know random shit that just nobody knew. "Oh, who else stole bases?" And I was like, "Well, Tim Raines, Ozzie Smith, Alex Cole." I just started just going. And they just looked at me like I was this kid. But I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge. Like, there's no Google back then. You would have to buy almanacs and encyclopedias of sports, and you would have to look up stats. And I just knew them. I'd be like, "Oh no, Ty Cobb did that in 19 da 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 da," and they would just be like, "When did he learn this shit?" And it's my whole life I was preparing for this moment. So there was a girl working there. Her name was Brandy, and Brandy was doing agate clerking, and this was a part-time job, $8 an hour agate clerk. And Brandy was doing this job, and she sucked because she didn't know sports. She was pretty, but she didn't know sports. So as soon as they brought me on in the first day, and they watched me on a keyboard, I could type a million miles a minute. Like, I can type really fast. And I just started typing, started formatting these box scores for the newspaper. Is in this system I had to learn, like this program. As soon as I started doing all this shit, I was like Rain Man. And I could do the job faster than anybody. And it was a job where you only work 4 hours a night. You come in at 8, you work till midnight, and then you're done. 8 p.m. because the games don't end on the West Coast until late at night. So you just work from 8 to midnight, and then you're done. And I'm doing this part-time job in the middle of the night, and it's $32 a day, and I'm driving all the way out 30 miles away, and I just love it. It's cool. So during the day, I'm playing basketball, I'm working out, and I'm getting ready to play JUCO football. But at night, I'm doing this job. And then one day, in preparation for the JUCO football, I go and join a men's flag football league. And I go try out at the men's flag football league. They have like a tryout day where you got to go run 40s, jump, run routes, throw passes, play defense. It was like a combine almost for all these adult league teams. And I go and try out for the teams. And the way I found out about it, this just hit me right now. The way I found out about it was that girl, Brandy, that I worked with. Her boyfriend was going to go out and try out for the team. And they said, "Hey, can you play sports still?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bro, I'll go play." So I show up, and I'm playing, and I'm doing everything on that tryout day. The very next day, a gentleman by the name of Jim Doyle, I don't know him today. I'm eternally grateful to Jim Doyle. But Jim Doyle drafted me number 1 overall. And I have a trophy in my room where I was the MVP of the whole league. And shout out to Cathedral City. It was called Big League Dreams. I don't know what it's called nowadays, but it was a big park with a bunch of baseball fields. And we all played in this adult flag football league. But he drafted me number 1 overall. And when he drafted me, he pulled me off to the side and he said, "Hey, man, I love the way you play ball, but I like the way you carry yourself. And I like the way you speak." And at that time, I was very respectful and just very quiet and just focused on my task. And he said, "I would like you to be my first employee." He says, "I'm sponsoring one of these flag football teams, but its name is Custom Controls. I'm going to start a business, and I want you to be my first employee. I want to teach you automation programming." And I thought, man, this is a creep. It's a 40-year-old man. I'm 17, 18 years old. Like, who the hell are you? And he's telling me to come to his house in Indian Wells, which is a really fancy place, a really rich place. And I'm like, this is crazy. Dude just moved here from Utah. I got to take a leap of faith and just trust this guy. And I went to his house, sat me down with a laptop, and he taught me automation programming, which was a way to automate and plan a home. And what that did was I remember the first week he gave me a paycheck, and it was bigger than anything I had been doing at the newspaper. The money was. But I didn't love it. I didn't love it. It was hot. We'd have to go pre-wire the houses while they were in framing, and then we'd do the fancy stuff on the computer after the house was built. Then the homeowners in these $1 million homes and these mansions, 12,000 square foot homes, whatever they were amazing homes. And we would do all the programming and stuff. It was really cool. I would make houses do things automatically. Like you walk into a room, the light would turn on at a certain percentage, depending on what time of the day it was. You would hit a light switch and it would say midnight snack, and then the lights would light up all the way to the kitchen to get you the route to the midnight snack, stuff like that. Like just really neat stuff I would be doing the program. I loved the job, but I didn't love the environment. I didn't love sweating. I didn't love the sun, all that stuff. I was like, this sucks. But the money was good. So I moved out of my parents' house immediately. And I'm still this guy at night doing these box scores. And I'm doing that for like a year. And then one day, I go to a wrestling match. It was my old high school. My two high schools I went to two different high schools, right? I was an athlete, star athlete at one high school, transferred to the better school my junior and senior year, kind of like how kids do today. We transferred back then, called an inter-district transfer. We transferred to the good school. And so they were doing a wrestling match, my old two high schools. I went to the match just to watch it. And I watched it. And I was in the crowd like a normal person, and I saw our photographer there from the newspaper. His name was Wade Byers. He was taking pictures, and that night I had to go do the box scores. So after the wrestling match, it was like 9 p.m. I drove all the way to work, and I could get there an hour late. By this time, they already had fired Brandy. I was now working every single night of the week. I was the guy they were relying upon to do all the ag techs. They didn't have anybody else. No backup. It's just me. I'm going to do all the box scores. We don't need that girl. She sucks. She can't type. I can do all this. I'll do it every night. And now it's a 40-hour position. Plus, I'm working 8 hours every single day. During the week, I'm working 16-hour days. But I got my own apartment, got my own car, live my own life, and I'm 18 years old. And then I get to the office that night, and my sports editor looks at me, and he goes, "Hey, Rico, Ed got in a car accident on the way to the wrestling match. He never got there. He didn't take any notes. Did you watch the matches? Could you remember who won? The weight classes, dude, this is like my old high school against my other old high school. I memorized everything. I knew everything. I watched the matches." So I went ahead and told my boss, like, I could tell you who's winning. And I started writing down on a piece of paper, like the weight classes and who won. And he goes, no. I need you to write 18 inches. I need you to write a cover story. I need you to write a news story for the front page. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm nervous. I don't know what he's talking about. So I just start writing, bro. I said, give me 2 hours. I just start banging it out, writing. Call the coach, get a quote. Boom, put it in. Call another coach, get a quote. Call the player, get a quote. And I'm just doing it, and I'm writing it, and I, boom, send it to my sports editor. He cuts it. It makes the front page. Get the byline, by Rico, all this stuff. And for a year, I had been doing that in reports, but for like track meets and volleyball matches. And they would never put my by name. They would just put by, and they would put staff reports or Associated Press. And no name, no credit for me. But at that time, I did so well that I wrote that story that night. The very next day, they got all kinds of emails. And the email said, hey, whoever wrote that story, Rico, he knows wrestling. Like, he knows the sport. He wrote it so much better than these other writers who've never played a sport. Like, they were all journalists. They were all liberal arts majors. They had never played a sport in their life. All our sports writers had never played a sport in their life. Just awful-looking people. And it's just, that kid knows what he's doing. Get that kid to more matches. Get that guy to more games. And then I became a beat writer for all the wrestling matches, then all the football games the next year, then the track meets, then this, and now I became a sports writer. And I was doing great until I realized sports writing doesn't pay what I want it to pay. Right? Sports writing is like a $40,000 a year job, and I don't want to make $40,000 a year for the rest of my life. And I don't want to work 16 hours a day. So eventually I decided, I was dealing with some other things. I was going to college football. I was going to the JUCO practices in the spring football, and I decided, man, this is too much to juggle, too much to do. I think I can go be great. Let me go join the Army. And when I joined the Army, I tested out, and I became military intelligence, and I was super smart, and I became a cyber guy and got promoted and all that stuff. Long story short, longest story ever, right? The point I'm trying to make is I've always been very fanatical about college football and about analytics and about stats and about everything my entire life. I've been preparing for this job my whole life, and I didn't realize it, okay? And my platform, what you're seeing here, it wasn't built the way you think it was. It was built with something I call like sheer aggression. I've posted 5,000 videos. I posted 2,000 videos before I ever made $1. I say 1,000, but it's really 2,000 before I ever made $1. So when you guys sit here and you say, "Oh, I want to be a content creator," or "I want to do this journey," or "I want to do this," I need you guys to understand that you might start posting a video a day, and it'll get 300 views, and it'll get 300 views, and 300 views, and 300 views, and at some point you don't see any traction. It's not going viral. You don't understand what's going on. You don't know what's going on, and then you're just like, "Oh, well, I got to go back to work. I got to go back to work because this doesn't pay the bills. This isn't working." That's not my mindset. My mindset was, I'm doing this. I'm going to be great. And the day they find me, the day they find out who the fuck I am, they're going to be able to look back at my entire catalog and they're going to go, "Whoa, this guy's been doing this how long? He's made 1,000 predictions. He's been picking against the spread for 3 years and he's over 60%. Like, that's what I want them to see. So views don't validate me. I'm not worried about how many people are watching this show right now. Same energy I have every single day, no matter what. Because I know they're going to find me, and the people who care are going to dig around, and they're going to go, "Holy shit, this is the real deal. This is the guy." Right? There's nothing worse than finding a great song, and then you go look up that artist, and they only got one great song. That's why you don't want to go viral on your first song. You don't want to go viral on your first video. You think you do, but you don't. Because then you don't have enough material to be somebody's favorite artist. You don't have enough videos. Like, some guys will write in here and go, "Rico's the GOAT. Rico's the GOAT. Rico's this. Rico's that." How can they say that if I didn't have all the material to support that? It's not warranted. You can't go to a concert. You can't go to a concert for Shabuzi right now. How many songs does Shabuzi have? It's not a real thing. But you can sit down and you can watch RicoKnows videos till you're blue in the face. You want to sit down and watch high school film reviews? There's enough. There's 300. You can sit there and watch them for the next week. You want to sit down and watch NFL draft reviews? There's 96 of them. I've been doing it for 3 years. I don't give a shit if you watch them. I'm going to keep doing it. And one day, somebody's going to stumble upon it and go, "Oh my God, this is real." That's how we get down. So don't let views validate whether or not you're good at your job. Just keep doing it and make it for yourself. Everybody wants to be a perfectionist. Look, man, I don't have no graphics guy. This shit is terrible. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying matters. The content matters. I didn't pay nobody to make me, "Oh, I can make you a custom this, that." Fuck off, bro. Some dude made me this for free. The RicoKnows banner you see behind me, he made the logo for free. And then I went ahead and got these printed for $40. And they've been my background for 3 years. Sometimes you need to focus on the content creation side of the house, not all the other bullshit. You need people to want to be here for you. Nonetheless, that's how long I've been doing it. That's how involved I was with college football. I also, when I started this thing on TikTok, all it was I identified a niche or a gap in college football coverage. Was the recruiting websites were the ones telling you who's in the transfer portal and then giving them stars. And I said, there's no way those guys get to tell me how good these transfers are. They evaluated them incorrectly out of high school. They don't get to evaluate them again as transfers. They don't watch the games on Saturday. I want you to think about those platforms. Think about those platforms. On3, 24/7, Rivals, ESPN. What are they all doing? Right now, what are they doing? They're evaluating high school kids right now. They're watching high school games, going to high school camps, watching huddle tape, and they're giving all the high school kids stars and all this stuff. And you want me to pretend like those same websites know what's going on a Saturday? No. The people evaluating the players on Saturdays are the NFL teams, not the recruiting websites. Recruiting websites move on to the next class. Watch all their stuff. Everything the recruiting websites do is 2027, 2028, 2029. Top quarterbacks from 2029. They're already moving on to a next graduating class. And then the transfer portal comes out, and now they try to pretend like, "Oh, we know the transfer portal too." "Oh, yeah, we got the..." No, they use the same rankings they used before. And now they give players stars based upon what schools they're going to out of the transfer portal. You're a 5-star out of high school, but you're a 3-star now because you're transferring from USC down to Nevada. You're a 3-star. Same fucking player. The nerve of those guys. That's what I identified, the gap, and that's why I exist. They didn't know what they're talking about when it comes to transfer portal players. And then I realized while I was doing this, it's called evolution, I realized, oh my God, Las Vegas has no clue. I don't know who works for the sports books. I don't know who works at those casinos. But they need to call me. The price has gone up. Probably cost $1 million. But I would fix them because they're really wrong. And that's why we win every single week. And that's why we win every year. And that's why we win on our futures. Because they don't have a clue how the transfer portal impacts win-loss totals and how it impacts talent on the field and the players. They got a lot of algorithms, I'm sure. They got a lot of computers going and simulations. And, oh, trust me, they're doing everything. That's why they get the scores right. That's why they get the over-under right. Because they've already done a bunch of calculations based upon time of possession, all this shit. Cool, bro. But let's talk about it. The guy that you're doing this for, or the team that you evaluate, is no longer there anymore. Don't tell me about how they won 3 games against the spread last year, and in games on the road when they're underdogs, they cover the spread. Like, none of that matters, bro. It's an entirely different team. You're just talking about how much Vegas missed. You're not talking about that team or those players. So, anyways. Sorry for that long tangent story. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. Always Dank just wrote LOL. I don't know what that is. Rob says, Rico talking his shit. LMAO. Thank you, man. I'm trying. I'm just doing what I do. Shout out to you guys. Boston Still Sucks says, Allard made good progress last year from being a bum. Think he will take the next step in progression. Well, he has really good wide receivers. I don't think Drew Allard's a bum. I think that he's just not dependable in clutch situations. But he made some really good decisions. And at some point, I remember I talked to you MVPs about this. Like, you make evaluations on players, and then at some point, you have to reassess, given more data, right? Given more information, you have to reassess. There's no way you can say, like, I can look at a freshman and be like, he's not good enough to start. I don't think that guy can play. He's not good enough to start. 2 years later, you can't be saying that same thing, right? So I could tell you that at some point in my life, when I evaluated Drew Allard, I said, no, this is not the right guy. He's not a good quarterback. They're all saying he's good. He's not. Well, guess what? He's good today. He's good today, and you got to live with that. That's what happens. We reassess. You know, you met a girl. She was the girl of your dreams when you first met her. She was absolutely amazing. And then you found out she's banging the neighbor. And then you found out she's got a shopping habit and picks her nose when you're not looking and doesn't clean the house. Now, is she still the girl of your dreams? No, you reassess because you got more data and more information. She's no longer the girl of your dreams. Happens. Happens. Can't wait for Thursday. Go Big Red. Shout out to Schmitty. I hope you're excited about Thursday. 4 says Penn State minus 44.5 is crazy. Once again, I don't think it is crazy. Nevada's one of the worst teams in the FBS, and Penn State is statistically one of the very best. So 44.5 is not crazy. What I would say to you is if Nevada scores 1 touchdown, that means Penn State has to put up 52 points. That's a pretty daunting number. But I don't even see Nevada scoring on the Penn State defense at all, especially on the road. I think Nevada at best gets a field goal, and I don't even see that. I could see a shutout occurring. I could see a 48-0. I could see a 52-0. I think it's going to be really bad. So we're clear. Gunnar Peterson says, how do you feel about Jonah Coleman this year? Shout out to Gunnar. How do I feel about Jonah Coleman? The way I've always felt about Jonah Coleman. He's a good player. I think he's highly dependable. And I think they're the bee's knees. So I'm with it. Shout out to Jonah Coleman. I think he's good. That's how I feel about him. Every year I feel that way. Sam Phillips, Iowa receiver, going crazy this year. Jacob and Horn. So for a receiver to go crazy, a couple things have to happen. Number 1, the offensive line has to block well. Then your quarterback has to make an accurate throw. And then you have to catch the ball. That's the reality of a wide receiver going crazy. So when everybody makes a prediction that a wide receiver is going to go crazy, you have to ensure that you have all the other things. Now, Iowa has a great offensive line. Their quarterback, transfer from South Dakota State, is not necessarily known for his passing acumen, but I hope it happens. Now, Sam Phillips, smaller guy, transferring in from Chattanooga, is the bee's knees. I want you guys to know, Sam Phillips is a good wide receiver. Like him to death. Like him. I'm pulling for a guy like Sam Phillips. I would have really been in Sam Phillips' camp had he gone to a group of 5 school. But you go take the money, you go to Iowa, and I'm not quite there. And the reason I say that is, and Jacob, just help me out. When's the last time an Iowa receiver went, quote unquote, crazy? And now you think a little guy from Chattanooga is going to go crazy, which is fine. You have every right to support the player and believe in Sam Phillips. I believe in him. When's that happen? In your lifetime? Who is it? Tim Dwight? What are we talking about? There you go. Robert Sherrick says, how good do you think Bryce Underwood will be as a freshman? Do you think he'll have a better freshman year than Dylan Raiola from Nebraska? Well, he has a better team. He has a better supporting cast defensively. That's going to really help him and put him in advantageous situations. I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be better than Dylan Raiola. I think it'd be very similar. I would assume so. I haven't seen a true freshman starting quarterback dominate in college football. Let's just be real. True freshman 5-star starting quarterback. Dylan Raiola was the last one. Before that was JT Daniels. It's just not real. I mean, there's some other guys they just didn't do well. Dante Moore, Jaden Rashada, stuff like that. Those guys don't move me like that. So, yeah, I think being a true freshman starting quarterback is in the Power 4 is a difficult task, but he has a very favorable supporting cast. I think he'll be fine. It'll look better than it is. Let's say that. Even if he makes mistakes, it'll still look better than it is. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, you guys can watch a game. I'll give you guys an example. Shedeur Sanders the other day. His first game in the preseason. Everybody said he played great. I guarantee you that film study was not good. I guarantee you. I evaluate quarterbacks for a living. That's what I do. I'm sitting here telling you I evaluate every position group. I evaluate quarterbacks for a living. It wasn't good. And a lot of it has to do with the way you evaluate quarterbacks. So while you might see Bryce Underwood play good, and the results might be a win, but when you go back and watch the tape, what we're looking for, pre-snap reads, progression reads, getting people in the right position, getting the playoff before the play clock, just a lot of nuances. And I don't think that's always on their plate, especially a true freshman. I wouldn't put it on his plate, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Shout out to him. I hope he plays well, especially for the fan bases. Do you think Indiana and Tulane can cover their spread? Dre Frill, I would never talk about a spread like that the way you're asking me. That is information I would only give to MVPs. So you can become an MVP right here. You can hit join on this channel, or you can download Patreon, search RicoKnows, become an MVP over there. That's usually where everybody does it. Go to Patreon, become an MVP. I have posted a 3.5-hour video that you can watch, and I talk about every single game on the slate. I will these episodes here are just free. They're free. It's just me talking to you guys in public. I would never give away that information for free. So no, that's not happening, bro. If you ever hear me refer to a spread in this video, it's because it's not MVP data. That is just something I'm talking about that's free. If it was MVP level data, I would never share it for free. So can't have that conversation. Appreciate you, though. Thank you for asking. Let's go. Do I think? Yeah. I can't wait to see Chase Farrell play. Yeah, Joseph Erickson. Remember, there's very few times when I tell you guys, go watch a player. When I tell you guys, hey, this player's good, and I'm wrong. Very few times. I can't even think of any where I was like, yo, you guys need to watch this guy. He's going to be amazing, and then he's not. Every time I tell you that, every time I mention a player, he's a beast. I get it right every time because I reserve that for only the good players that I see. I don't just use it random. I don't use it all the time. It's like when I look at a roster, I go, oh, by the way, this guy's great. That kind of deal. You feel me? All right. Mike says, hi, Rico. Don't forget to put on your red Nebraska gear Thursday. So I don't think I have any Nebraska gear. By the way, I'm wearing a Penn State shirt right now. I'm not a fan of any team. I do have a lot of attire being sent to me. People have been sending it to the P.O. box and stuff like that. I appreciate you guys. We're getting a ton of gear. If you want the address, send me a DM. I'll give it to you guys. But send me a DM on TikTok. I'll get you the address so you can send more gear. Everybody's sending me their favorite teams. Everybody's sending me gear. Some schools sent me gear. Everything's fine. I'll wear it. I'll rep it. But don't think for a second I'm a fan of your favorite team. Shout out to Mike. He is a homer for Nebraska, if you didn't know. Mike says, that is awesome. Poor Brandy, though. Hey, Brandy, if you guys aren't aware, actually, I shouldn't leave this part out. Brandy eventually posed for Playboy. I don't remember the girl that I worked with at the newspaper. She eventually posed for Playboy. I don't remember what her last name was or what episode it was in, but I know she posed for Playboy. And don't feel sorry for her because she did get She did get the hookup from Rico at one point. We did manage to find some time alone. So she managed to be with a goat at one point in her life. So that's the biggest claim to fame. She doesn't even know it yet. Shout out to you. Just listen to Rico and no ESPN experts. That's an oxymoron. There are no experts at ESPN. Just a bunch of former players that no teams wanted to hire, and now they're hired by a network. It doesn't mean they know shit. Don't you ever forget that. It's just a bunch of dudes talking. You ever been on a football team? You ever been on a team? The most talented players on the team are not the smartest players. They're not the ones who know the most about the game. They're just gifted athletes. They're not the people you want to sit down and talk to about the game. They can't tell you shit. Oh, I juked him. I crossed him over, went to the rim, da-da-da. You can't even... You'd be looking at him like, man, what the fuck is this? Every now and then you'll find a savant. Every now and then you'll find a guy who can talk it through and explain everything. But I guarantee you, man, go watch them episodes with Ocho Cinco. He doesn't have a fucking clue what's going on. Not a clue. Watch the episode where he's talking about Anthony Richardson. He doesn't even know who had the hot route, who did this, who that. He's just, I thought the receiver did it wrong. I thought the back was supposed to turn around. Like, it's just dumb. Those guys don't know football. Played a lot of it. Great athletes. Wouldn't ask them to coach anyway, because if they really knew it, the teams would be hiring them. The teams hire the guys that know football. The John Lynches of the world. The teams hire the guys. I want you to look at the NBA. Look at some of those head coaches. Maurice Cheeks. Right? They hire the guys who know the game. The guy, Jason Kidd. Hire the guys who know the game. Avery Johnson. Nobody's fighting to hire Carmelo Anthony or Allen Iverson. They're not fighting to put these guys on staff anywhere. Just because you're a star player doesn't mean you're... But these networks, they got to hire people. That's why ESPN went down the drain. ESPN used to hire journalists, used to hire actual analysts, and then at some point they flipped it to where they only hire ex-professional athletes for the name recognition. And that's when their whole network went down. That's when they just got into arguments on air, and they just debate back and forth, and they got one or two journalists on the whole fucking channel. One or two on the entire channel. Stephen A. Smith, Trey Wingo, or who's the bald guy in the middle of the night? I don't know. I don't even watch ESPN. My TVs are off all the time unless there's a live event going on, and even then I'm watching it on mute. I don't have a fucking clue who works for these channels. I don't know their TV shows. I don't watch them. I'm not joking. Kim will tell you. I don't watch TV. Not a real thing to me. So shout out to them. I keep going back and forth on Ohio State and Texas. We'll rewind later. So, Mike, it doesn't matter. It's a coin flip game. It's two really good teams. You live with what you got. They're both very good teams. They're elite. So it is what it is. Jay Frill says, how do you feel about Fernando Mendoza? I have an episode on YouTube. I want to show you where it's at just so we can talk about it. And then I'll break it down for you guys. So if you go on YouTube, you're going to go to the live tab. And if you scroll down, you got to get past all the NFL draft stuff. If you scroll down, you will see these transfer portal episodes. There's one for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. And every single one of these episodes is like 2 hours long, or just under 2 hours. You can watch them at 1.5 playback speed. You can change the playback speed and watch them. And you will listen to me talk about every single player in the transfer portal, and one of the players, or maybe the top 25 players in the transfer portal on those episodes. And one of the guys that I talk about very glowingly is Fernando Mendoza. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's very good. I like the people that he beat out to be the starting quarterback at Cal. Cal had a number of players come in and try to be the starting quarterback. They try to give it to other people, and Fernando kept beating them out. And I like that. I like quarterbacks that can win quarterback competitions. Ask Dylan Gabriel, going to 3 different universities, beating out a bunch of quarterbacks to be the starting quarterback. Kirk Cousins, going to different places, always beating out starting quarterbacks. You know, at one point at Michigan State, it was like Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles, and somebody else. I'm forgetting the other kid's name. But it was just a ton of great quarterbacks all there, and they all had to find out who's the biggest dog. And it was Kirk Cousins. So, and obviously he's had a long NFL career because of it. Getting drafted 4th when the other guy is taken 2nd overall, and you eventually become the starter, you got to have that dog in you. And so I think Fernando Mendoza has that dog in him, the ability to win quarterback battles and go out there and play well. So I like him a lot. Shador was never a first-round quarterback. Anyone that knows football knew. People have different traits. Teams draft different ways. Everybody does their thing. What I would say is it's not a desirable trait to have somebody who can't throw the ball when somebody's not open. Let me make that very clear again. When a receiver's not open, you have to be willing to throw the ball, whether that be throwing it away, throwing it with that anticipation, throwing that receiver open. Windows are really small in the NFL. I think a lot of college quarterbacks who are successful, oftentimes when you look at the production, they are successful because of the scheme they're in, because of the athletic advantage their wide receivers have, or more importantly, they only throw it when the guy's wide open. So you can't do that in the NFL. You got to let it go. Processing is important. Pre-snap reads is important. But more importantly, choice routes. You got to trust that the receiver is going to run the route that he read, and you got to read it the same. In the NFL, a lot of play calling is audibles and choices. And if you don't do that, or you didn't do that in college, it will not translate. And that's why guys don't translate. That's why Tennessee quarterbacks don't translate. A lot of that has to do with the manipulation of the hash marks. You have different hash marks in college versus the NFL. Tennessee takes really good advantage of hash mark placement and route schemes and spacing because of that. And then it doesn't translate into the NFL because you can't do that same advantage. But that's a Josh Heupel thing, and he learned that at Oklahoma, and that's why he applies it at Tennessee. And it's very effective in college, but it's not effective in the NFL. There's a lot of little nuances that I don't go in depth about when I do my evaluations. But you guys have to understand is like the layman fan, the average fan watching the game is watching the ball. And they're watching the guy with the ball, and then they see the end result. But if you go back and watch the tape and you go, hey, that guy with the ball should have let it go now. And he doesn't. But it's still a touchdown. It's not good enough. And the NFL will not play with that. The NFL does not play that way. So it's going to be difficult. Definitely not a first-round quarterback. I just don't see the benefit of even drafting him, to be honest. But more power to everybody. There's a ton of fans that swear by it because they have never seen a quarterback who's extremely productive not make it in the NFL. These kids haven't seen that yet. These kids don't know what that is. Like, you got to understand, all these fans, they never seen a Heisman Trophy winner go undrafted. We can sit over here. We know who Danny Warfel is. We know who Eric Crouch is. We know who Ty Detmer is and Andre Ware. I could show you a 5,000-yard passer who didn't make it in the NFL. Like, we know David Klingler. We vividly remember this stuff where these are kids who don't remember this. So they just sit there and they're shocked because they saw a guy winning on Saturdays and he should be able to win on Sundays, and that's not how it works. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't. I remember Colt Brennan and Timmy Chang. I remember every Texas Tech quarterback for my whole life. And I was like, what's going on? Why does nobody want this quarterback who just threw all they want is Michael Crabtree and not his quarterback? That's really weird to me. You have to learn, and it takes time. It takes time, and it's going to take maturity from the fan base, and they'll never learn. They'll never get it, at least not while we're around, not at this time. Maybe 10, 20 years from now, they'll reflect and look back and go, oh, because they're going to need a couple of these. Okay? They're going to need a couple of Dennis Dixons out there. Dennis Dixon, Oregon quarterback. Offensive player of the year in the Pac-10 for the Oregon Ducks. Amazing quarterback. And then he shows up and he's just a backup quarterback for the Steelers. Never gave him a chance to play. Never been that guy. But I'm watching Seneca Wallace go ham, and they're never really giving him any shot. I just saw Joey Hamilton do everything at Georgia Tech. No shot. Sean King goes undefeated at Tulane. I know he can play ball. That's the reality of the NFL. And these kids don't understand it. And they don't have any point of reference. And there's no point in trying to speak to them about it because they need to live life. And they're going to live life. And the next time it happens, they're going to go, oh, that's what happened. Oh, I didn't realize that. Right? And then they're going to have points of reference they can remember. ESPN got a girl on there that thinks Barry Sanders is Shador. Yeah, shout out to Robert Sherrick. You guys saw that clip. It's some chick. I don't know, man. They just get girls to talk sports, which is silly to me. Somebody asked me how I felt about it. Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? She's sitting there talking about Shador Sanders, number 20 in the Detroit Lions jersey. It's silly. It's the dumbest thing I ever seen. Shout out to the Penn State gear, baby. What up? Yeah, I appreciate you, Boston. Damn, I'm new here. I ain't know you break down everything like this. I'm tapped in now. Jay Fro, I do that for the MVPs. On Patreon, I break down every prop bet, every matchup, every lineup, everything for hours on end. I don't do that in these free videos. In these free videos, we keep it very wave top. touch on it, and then keep it moving. If you see me deep dive a game, that's because it's not an MVP game. It's just a free one, and I'll deep dive it for you, but it's probably a no bet for the MVP, so I can talk about it without any MVP feeling bad about it. That kind of deal. See you at 8. See you at 8. Boston still sucks it. I appreciate you. If you guys don't know, we are doing Dana White Contender Series on the Discord stage at 8. First 300 people in for free. Well, not free, but they get a seat. Everybody else got to go. All right, let me pull up the MAC schedule. We'll talk about the games. I already covered a bunch of these. We'll get back to the chat. Just a reminder, if you want to drop anything in the chat, go to YouTube, put it in the chat, and you'll be good. And I'll answer the question. If you're still on YouTube watching, put it in the chat. Any additional comments or anything, we'll get back to you guys once we talk about the MAC matchup. So I already talked about Ohio Rutgers. Shout out to Ohio. I hope they go out there and they do their thing, but I don't expect them to be very competitive with Rutgers. Rutgers going to hit them in the mouth. Lafayette, Bowling Green. This one's pretty interesting. Lafayette last year, they played and they opened the season up against Buffalo. I want to say it was last year. And they lost horrifically. And what's crazy about that is I missed. And that particular game, was it week 0? Let me see something real quick. Last year. Yeah, it was week 0. Or maybe week 1. They go out there and they lose to Buffalo 30-13. They did not cover the spread, and I thought they would. Because Lafayette had an All-American running back. They had one of the best running backs, Jamar Curtis. He just transferred to Sacramento State, and he's one of the running backs at Sacramento State. By the way, Sacramento State has one of the best running back rooms out there. So even last year, when you had the returning offensive player of the year in the Patriot League, and you had all these quarterback DeNoble here, he's been starting for 3 years, kind of like a DiNucci type dude, kind of tough, whatever. And you got all the right players. You got a bunch of good players. You still can't even dominate in conference play. You're just okay. And then you go out there and this is bad. And then the transfer portal hits, and the only guys you keep are DeNoble and Stewart. They're the only 2 guys still around. Anybody else worth the damn hit the portal, went to another FCS team or an FBS team. 3 went to the FBS, and then a bunch of all-conference guys, especially 2 of their starters in the secondary, graduated, gone. So Lafayette looks like the cupboard's bare, and they're playing against Bowling Green. Bowling Green lost a good majority of their talent. Terrion Stewart hit the transfer portal. He just went to Virginia Tech, so he'll be one of the running backs. Let me go through the team for you guys so you guys understand how good Bowling Green is. The problem here is Drew Pine coming in, being a starting quarterback. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. New running back room. We don't know what we're going to get out of this. New tight end. Obviously, Arliss Bordenham is 3rd string. I thought Arliss Bordenham was going to be the starter. Transfer from Florida. They just made him 3rd string. Jaron Johnson's here. Oh, boy. Very experienced wide receivers. They've been around for a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what we're getting out of this offense. Eddie George, it's his first year coaching here from Tennessee State. Don't know what we're getting. Their entire offense last year was Stewart at running back, and then obviously they had Harold Fannin Jr. at tight end who was doing a bunch of numbers. So it just feels really weird. Defensively, studs. My biggest studs here, obviously, Gideon Lamprin. I need to stop saying obviously. Gideon Lamprin transferring in from Dayton, FCS All-American, complete stud. Everybody thought he was going to transfer to Oklahoma, and then he ended up here, which is great. And then Dorian Pringle's my guy. Dorian Pringle's my guy all day long. I did a high school film review on him, friend of the channel. I've been supporting him. I think one of his family members wrote me today and was like, Rico, thank you for always believing in him. And you're welcome. You're welcome. I think that young man is amazing. I think he's Jonathan Vilma, and he's now the starting middle linebacker at Bowling Green as a sophomore, true sophomore. That's a young man that the Power 4 missed on. He will be starting in the Power 4 someday. I could see Cincinnati signing Dorian Pringle at some point, and he'd be the starting linebacker for Cincinnati or Louisville or something like that, because he's so good. I hope he plays well this year, and hope he lives up to the hype that I envision. But yeah, this team, I expect that game to be very low scoring. I do. I'll say that. I know the spread's pretty big, 16.5 or so. I don't know about all that. Lafayette is not very good, and losing your star running back is hurtful. It's a problem. Akron's got their work cut out. They're going to be hosting Wyoming. Wyoming's going to show up to play Akron. Akron doesn't look good. Antavius Fish left. Nunley left. McCoy left. These are 3 of their best defenders all day long. 3 of their best defenders. Yes, they have the returning starting quarterback in Finley. Yes, they have Adams at receiver. He's a former LSU receiver. They got some pieces here and there. I wouldn't believe in Akron like that at all. Wyoming should beat the brakes off of them. Buffalo at Minnesota. I've already talked about this. I love Buffalo, but they're playing Minnesota. Minnesota looks real. I already talked about Wisconsin, Miami, Ohio. I already talked about Western Michigan and Michigan State. Now we get to Central Michigan traveling all the way to San Jose State. Central Michigan all the way to San Jose. Pretty long trip just to get your ass whooped. I think San Jose State's very good. I like the coaching staff. I like what they've been building. I like the running back room. Wide receiver room. There's a kid named Leland Smith. I know they don't think very highly of Leland Smith. If you check the depth chart, I don't even think he's starting. Let me go here. Yeah, they don't have him starting. Once again, I'm never wrong on it. I'm not wrong when I say this. That's a superstar, and he's not starting. You got to start him. You got to play him. He will dominate if given the opportunity. That is the best receiver I evaluated on that team. It's not close. And if I evaluated all the players and I say that's the best player, I'm not at practice. I don't know what makes these decisions. I don't know any of that. I just know that's the best player. Got it? Leland Smith, best player. Defensively, studs, good players everywhere. I like this team. Shout out to San Jose State. I don't necessarily like Central Michigan. It looks like one of the least talented teams in the MAC. Their strength on Central Michigan is their linebackers. Their strength is like defensively, linebackers and safeties. Now they have a new coach. They got a two-lane transfer at running back. They got some answers here and there. I don't care. It just doesn't feel like they're as good as San Jose State by a wide margin. Okay. On Saturday, Ball State's got their work cut out with Purdue. I hope they play well. I want to see them play well. I love the receivers, but obviously Purdue needs to win that game for me to get my bet right, so I need Purdue to win the game. Okay. Merrimack and Kent State. This is the first time in my life. Kent State's a 7-point favorite in this. I've never seen Kent State a favorite lately. When I evaluated the tape on Kent State, it's a team that didn't win any games last year, and they lost to an FCS team. They looked like they had good linebackers. Average group of 4 linebackers, or group of 5 linebackers, which is good for them. They've always been below average, so that's very good. I would say Merrimack, I have to evaluate them. I don't know them. So I got to look into them this week. I'll be looking into them probably tomorrow. We'll get something for the MVPs by Thursday. Toledo at Kentucky. You guys aren't gonna like what I have to say about this game. Kentucky's a 9.5-point favorite, and I just think that you need to be prepared for a team like Toledo to be very competitive with Kentucky. And it's probably not in your DNA to believe that. You probably don't believe it at all because you've watched Kentucky beat Louisville before, or Kentucky's defense is this, that, or the other. I don't know what Kentucky did this offseason. I don't know if they just took away all their money and just said, fuck it, we don't care. But Kentucky's not winning more than 3 games. They're not winning more than 3 games. And there's no money on that roster. They went bargain shopping. You can't go bargain shopping in Kentucky or in the SEC. Obviously, they're playing Toledo. It's a MAC team. Should be able to smack a MAC team, all this stuff. Toledo has an amazing secondary. Toledo has a secondary comparable to any Power 4 school. Toledo is great in the secondary. Toledo has a returning starting quarterback for the last 2 years now, Gleason. Toledo has weapons galore. I like Toledo. I think they're very blue-collar. They're easy to root for. I think they're the best team in the MAC. I have Toledo winning a significant amount of games. Now, I don't necessarily see them winning this game, but I think you need to watch this game. And if you see Toledo going toe-to-toe with Kentucky, just remember I told you it's going to happen. And more importantly, you should be very, very nervous for Kentucky. If that game is close, if that game is competitive, be very nervous for Kentucky. They're going to get blown out all season long if this game is competitive. I expect it to be. Temple at UMass. 2 of the worst teams in America. Temple's not as bad as UMass. UMass just joined the MAC this year. UMass will be a free win for a lot of teams. They're not good. They don't have great talent on the roster. They just don't have it all set up right now. They don't have a good NIL program going. They're not doing it. Temple, brand new coach, Casey Keller, brought over some Louis luggage with him. More like Samsonite, but he brought over some Samsonite luggage, maybe a duffel bag with some nice clothes in it. Shout out to Temple. They'll be defensively sound. They'll be a good defensive team, and there probably won't be a lot of scoring. And those teams suck. Holy Cross at Northern Illinois. I fully believe in Northern Illinois. They have some really good players, but they're going to have to make some magic happen. They lost a lot of players in the transfer portal. They developed players really well. They find answers, but they lost starters in the transfer portal galore. They do have one NFL player at defensive end. Make sure you watch him. Let me pull him up for you guys. Williams. Let's go to NIU. So you got Roy Williams right here, number 97. That's going to be your best defensive player that you'll ever see in the MAC, essentially. Like, he's one of those guys. He's one of them top MAC guys, for sure. That's a Sunday guy. Sunday guy, Roy Williams. Never redshirted. The truth. Trust. That is the guy. But they have so much turnover over here. They have so much turnover. It's difficult. Obviously, they discovered a great running back last year as a true freshman. Augusta's finest, straight out of Augusta, Georgia, Telly Johnson. He's a little fat. He's a little rotund. Wears a speedster. Wears a little more my pace as far as running backs go. But they got guys they believe in. They're going to go out there and kind of just wear on you, beat you up. This is a blue-collar team. I wouldn't say it's flashy. I wouldn't be too excited about it, but they're a blue-collar team, and it's fine. Shout out to them. They're going to beat Holy Cross. Holy Cross, anybody who's worth a damn at Holy Cross transfers to JMU and follows their coaching staff. Obviously, that's where they were before at Holy Cross, so it is what it is. Last game of the week, or of the slate, is Eastern Michigan and Texas State. There is a pecking order among the group of five. There is the American and the Sun Belt. They're way up here. The American and Sun Belt. Some select teams in the Mountain West are with them. And then underneath that is the MAC. And then underneath that is Conference USA. Okay? That's how it really works. I'm bringing that up because the pedigree of Texas State players should be far better than Eastern Michigan's. Eastern Michigan's leading tackler just transferred to Virginia Tech to go be a defensive end, so he's gone. Texas State just announced Jackson's going to be their starting quarterback. If you don't know Brad Jackson, he's a good dual-threat quarterback, kind of crafty. He's been in G.J. Kinney's system for a couple years now. Texas State's got some juice to them. They got some players. The receiving core, Sparks and these guys, Bo and them, they got some players, man. Just believe in Texas State. Eastern Michigan is fine. I like a lot of pieces of Eastern Michigan, and Crichton gets the most out of those guys, but they shouldn't be able to beat Texas State on the road. It's not a thing. No, it's not a thing. All right, let me go to the chat one last time before we end the show. Thank you guys for being here. I know we went 2.5 hours. Fight start in 40 minutes. We will be on the Discord stage. I'm going to take a break, find some dinner, do that thing. But let's go over here and go to chat one last time. All right, chat. We shouldn't have much, but if we do, we will answer it like we always do. Let's interact. Give me a second. Ooh. Boom. Interact. All right. Oh, only one or two things. Also, explain to everyone what you've earned being called top. We all thank you for that part of your life. Oh, Boston still sucks it. Thank you so much. So yeah, top means you're top of the food chain, or you're the trainer of personnel. I say I'm a retired first sergeant. Some of you might not know what that means. In the military, there are ranks. And in the enlisted side of the house, I obtained the rank of first sergeant before I retired. I would have been a sergeant major if I had stayed in an extra year or two. I was supposed to go to school, but once this took off and I started making money doing this, I said, I'm going to retire. I'm going to get the hell out of here, because making six figures is fine, but making $500,000 is a little different. So you just jump ship and get the hell out. And, oh, well, you're not a sergeant major. But, yeah, first sergeant, pretty big deal. If you know the military, you come in, you're a private. You can be a private first class, second class, whatever it is. And then you get promoted to specialist, which is equivalent to a corporal. And you'll be that guy. You'll be just one of these older kids that first joined the military. And then eventually you become a sergeant. And being a sergeant's a big deal in the military. You're now a non-commissioned officer, an NCO, and you're a team leader. You should have 3 or 4 soldiers that you're in charge of. So sergeants are in charge of 3 or 4 privates or specialists, typically. And then after you're a sergeant, you'll be a sergeant within 3 years, 3 to 5 years or so. I don't know what the time constraints are now for ranks. I haven't been in a while. I've been retired for 2 years in December. So the rank, time, and grade stuff changes all the time. But anyway, so then you become a staff sergeant above that. Staff sergeants are pretty tough dudes, war-torn, usually very experienced, very good at their jobs. They lead the sergeants. So they'll be considered a squad leader. Sometimes a staff sergeant will be selected to be a platoon sergeant. That means he's high speed and he's in charge of everybody. A platoon sergeant is a big deal. You're in charge of 30 people at that point. It's a big deal. But staff sergeant, I think that's where you learn a lot about the Army and you become a leader. And you learn a lot about leadership and being able to relate and interact with young men. It would be the equivalent of maybe positions coach in college football, wide receivers coach, things like that. You just got promoted to be a positions coach if you're a staff sergeant. After you're a staff sergeant, you can be a staff sergeant from 4 years in, all the way up to 20. You can retire a staff sergeant if you're not selected to become a senior NCO or a senior non-commissioned officer. Then you become a sergeant first class. And becoming a sergeant first class is usually the pinnacle of most people's careers. That is, you made it. And we got a lot of respect for anybody who's a sergeant first class. I don't care who you are, even if you retire as a sergeant first class, that's amazing. It's very difficult to be a sergeant first class. I think you usually need to get a college degree. You need to be very good for multiple years. You need to be better than all your peers. Sergeant first class is a pretty big deal. When you look at TV, and you guys ever see somebody on TV and they're a drill sergeant, usually drill sergeants are E6s, staff sergeants. The senior drill sergeant, the highest ranking one, the one that's yelling, is a sergeant first class. So if you ever see a movie in the Army, it's going to look, the rank you're going to usually see is sergeant first class. That's the highest ranking guy. It'll be an old crusty dude in charge of everything. And usually sergeant first class, if they're good, they'll get there in 7 years. I mean, if you're amazing, they'll get there in 7 years. If you're good, you get there in like 10 to 12 years. If you're okay, you get there in 15. It doesn't matter when you get there, though. We respect all sergeants first class. That's a big deal. And then you can get the rank. After that, you can get promoted to master sergeant. And master sergeant is kind of like, it's not in your control. It's a pipe dream. It's not a real thing. It happens. 2% of the people who make it there, or 2% of soldiers can make it there. It's a special moment if you make it to master sergeant. In any organization, there'll be a lot of master sergeants. There can be up to however many at that point. Once you become master sergeant, you can now serve over 20 years. I think sergeant first class can serve up to 24 years, if I remember, but you can serve up to 26, 28 years, something like that. And master sergeant's a really big deal. Now, once you're a master sergeant, over time, master sergeants they'll decide one master sergeant above all the rest. So there's a bunch of master sergeants. They'll pick one, and he'll be the first sergeant, and he'll be in charge of everybody. And the first sergeant doesn't really deal with the other master sergeants for the most part. You leave them alone because they're your peers. They're your battle buddies. They're cool. You just got elected over them to be the first sergeant, and you run the show. You're the father of the unit. You're in charge of everything. You rock it. You and your commander, you pair up. And first sergeant influences the entire organization. First sergeants are the ones who stand in front of formations, yell out all the commands, give out all the directives, and they run the show. They're the guys. So they mentor officers. They mentor commissioned officers, non-commissioned officers, everybody. So it's a very prestigious thing. It's the guy with a diamond in the middle of his rank, and the only rank higher is a sergeant major with a star in the middle, and then a command sergeant major. You get reefs on the side. So my military career for 21 years, I did that job, and I'm very proud of it. Thank you. It's something that I took part in. Yes, I'm a retired combat veteran. You know, there's always veterans. Thank you for your service. There's always going to be combat veterans, guys who deployed while they were serving. Thank you for your service. And then there's retired combat veterans. You got to check all three. That's me, but it's not who I am. It doesn't define me. It's just what I was in the first part of my career. If you're in the top 2% of your career early on, and then at 40 years old, I shifted gears, and now I do this. And if you want to know what type of earnings we do and what we do on these platforms, I'm in the top 2% on Patreon for sure. I want to say I checked like some online thing, and they had it all wrong. Online, they told me I was ranked 400th in the world. And that's not right because they had my revenue way wrong. So those websites, they lie. Social Blade and all those, I don't know what they're talking about. But you just keep it moving. I know who knows. My CPA knows. So thank you so much. Yeah, I am a retired first sergeant. I don't care, man. I haven't been on base since I retired. Put on a uniform since I retired. I don't talk to soldiers. I just live my life. I live out really far away from a base. Shout out to them. Brett Spain says, I can say Mendoza is ready week 1. He's in my class. There you go. Shout out to you, man. He's ready to go. Mike says, keep eyes on Grambling State. Mickey Joseph should win 3 or more games like he did previous first season as head coach. Rico, good night. Thanks. Yeah, Mickey Joseph, former LSU wide receivers coach, got hired to go over to Nebraska with Scott Frost. Mickey Joseph was over there. That's why they had Trey Palmer when he transferred from LSU to Nebraska. Shout out to him while he was at Nebraska. He was doing great things. Unfortunately for him, got charged with a crime. I believe it was domestic violence or a DUI, something to that effect. The charges were probably dropped if it was the domestic violence thing, but it happened. Nonetheless, shout out to Mickey Joseph getting back on his feet, and HBCU's not giving a damn about criminals, still hiring him. So hope he gets on his feet. I'll never pull for Mickey Joseph. Thank you for mentioning him, Mike. I don't get down with anybody who knowingly breaks the law. That's just me. I don't have to. The burden's not on me to care, guys. I don't care. If you're trying to recover from a crime or something like that, I don't care. I just don't have to. That's not my burden. Nonetheless, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you MVPs at 8 o'clock on the server. Remember, your friends don't know. but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.
RicoKnows on TikTok, RicoKnows on YouTube, RicoKnows on the go, RicoKnows get it tuned, RicoKnows gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, RicoKnows, 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 and I'm up, RicoKnows, run it up. RicoKnows, double up, RicoKnows, and it's stuck, RicoKnows, gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, RicoKnows, 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 and I'm up, RicoKnows, run it up, RicoKnows, double up, RicoKnows, and it's stuck, RicoKnows, gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, you should know, RicoKnows, 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 and I'm up, RicoKnows, run it up, RicoKnows, double up, RicoKnows, and it's stuck, RicoKnows, gotta go, RicoKnows on the road, RicoKnows and I'm told, RicoKnows you should know, RicoKnows, RicoKnows.